is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Throw a zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant.
Has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
all right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are glad to be back after Memorial Day Monday. I know that's probably going to throw some people off, but, you know, we had family commitments. And so that had to happen. We did lose our sponsor. It's because I whispered Vaseline during the show. So
way to go, Derek.
They're pretty upset. So we lost KY. Hopefully we can get Vaseline to come back on and be the sponsor because it is a superior product. Also, are we going to talk about Greenland today? Is that going to come up at any point?
Oh, yeah, I don't have that pulled up, but that was one thing that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, let me find it real quick and get it put into our tab of stuff to talk about.
All right, I know there's probably a buttload of them. You would think this would be a slow day, really. You really would, but it isn't. And also some news. It could be Thursday or it could be Monday. I'm in discussions with Jared Dubois, or is it Dubois? It's Dubois, I'm pretty sure, from the Best Soccer Show. Come join us. And actually, upon your recommendation out there. So thank you for that. And, you know, I always thought he would, you know, do real well on this show. But could it be that he's too much like us? I don't know. Is that possible? Probably not. I think we're going to have a great time with Jared. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The turn in the background says, by the way, did you hear that, Brett?
Your little robotic sound?
No, Jared Dubois.
Yeah. I was following the messages. Yeah.
You look glassy-eyed there. All right.
No, so, I'm looking for that
Greenland
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like we need them, but you know what? They're not going to be able to go anywhere. They're not going to be able to compete in Europe. I mean, they've got what? 50,000 some people that actually live on the island. Not that size is everything in soccer, but yeah, it's going to be difficult for them to compete in any federation, actually. I'm going to read the turd here. The turd in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Colin Reese knows much more than Derek. Colin, let me talk to my wife. She's been at your place for 2 weeks now. Tonight we discussed Derek's favorite thing, transfers." Oh, okay. We should probably read Colin's, because this is a perfect example of why you're muted, Colin. Derek's got me muted because he doesn't like that I know way more than him. So that's one reason you're muted, because you don't, and you keep saying it. And then I point out all of his retarded comments. Okay. So we don't even call people, you know, retards on this show. So that's not nice. Though I can take
your face at least.
I can take it. That doesn't bother me. Or like when this is the part that gets me. Like he falsely accused McBride of saying Pepe was bad in the air, which we never said. No one on the show ever said it. That's the problem sometimes, Colin. You lack the ability to perceive context and satire and or exaggeration. But in this case, mostly the context of what was spoken about, which was McBride coming out and saying that Vasquez was basically, he was shocked he didn't make the team because he's so much better at one thing than all the other strikers on the team. And that he's just that much more dominant in the air than Sargent, than Pepe.
Balogun. He's probably better than Balogun.
He's better than Balogun. There's no doubt about that. But we never said that at all. We never, ever. You can go back and check it out. But I never falsely accused McBride of saying Pepe was, and I quote, bad in the air. If you want to get unmuted, stop misquoting us. That's all I ask. Okay. And then, you know, you wouldn't know, like I said, satire if it hit you in the face, or gonzo. You don't like, I don't know if you ever read Hunter S. Thompson, but I bet you read the whole book and thought it was 100% serious the whole way through with no, twists and turns and exaggerations or whatever. Hunter S. Thompson would have gone right over your head. All right, what else we got?
Do you have anything else to go before we jump into the other?
No, I think we're using up
1 billion fluff pieces of music.
I mean, we got fluffery coming up, so yeah, let's get on with it.
Fluff
I guess.
Wazoo.
Yeah.
All
right. Oh yeah, this one really pissed me off, and I think when I sent it to you, I said this one pissed me off. So this is a person who has an account on X called Beatlemania. And he asked the dumbest questions. Like he's never listened to a Beatle record before, or knows nothing about the Beatles, or has never read about the Beatles, or hasn't heard how any of the albums were recorded or the recording process. He says, why did the Beatles use McCartney to sing Helter Skelter? Because he wrote it. It may be, of course, as all the songs that McCartney wrote by himself, be labeled as Lennon-McCartney, because that's how they did their publishing. And if you know anything about the White Album, those songs, like 99% of the songs on the White Album, were written absolutely separate from each other. Maybe they were sick of each other. So maybe you would have liked John Lennon to sing the song because he's got the, as you say, better voice. But no.
Better rock and roll voice.
Paul wrote it. He wants to sing it. That's it. That's how that worked back then. That's how they were working at that point of their careers. They certainly didn't like talk amongst each other. Hey, maybe John should sing this instead. Oh, wait a minute. I think George might have the... No. Whoever was the predominant songwriter of the song, usually at this point in their career, sang the songs. Simple as that. And if you don't know that, don't run a page called Beatlemania. Seriously. All right. Sorry. Pissed me off.
Speaking of rock and roll voices and their importance to the medium.
Yep.
Let's talk about the top 10. List of the top 10 most influential bands and artists. I guess it's not all rock and roll by any means.
Can you make it bigger? That's what she said. All right. List of the top 10 most influential bands and artists of all time. How in the holy hell is this really in order? Madonna is the second? Listen, I got no problem with Madonna's stuff back in the 80s. I grew up with that. I was a kid of the 80s. But influential? I don't think so. Elvis Presley, yeah, certainly. Elton John to some extent. Mariah Carey? I guess if you think about how everybody sings now,
The Christmas song, maybe.
Everybody tries to sing like Mariah Carey and Janet Jackson. I'm not sure they pull that off. At least both of them have what I would call original voices. Now everybody sings practically the same. Not everybody, but a lot of people. They all sound the same on the radio. Stevie Wonder, I mean, I like some Stevie stuff. Michael Jackson, certainly huge for pop, as a pop influence.
I personally can't believe that Mariah Carey's 3 places higher up than Michael Jackson.
Yeah, where are the Stones? We're the Rolling Stones here. That's weird to me for them not to be on this list. There are too many people that are on this list that are like they're so new to the music industry. Like Rihanna is like younger than me. So there's no way she's had a massive influence on rock history. Is that what that was? Rock history? She doesn't.
No, not rock history. Just
music history,
bands or artists the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, you need more time for it to soak into the ethos of American culture for it to have had that much effect. But then again, we do live in a space and time, Brett, where a lot of people younger people are just finding out that there was actual really good music back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're like shocked by it. Oh my God, they're playing their own instruments. Oh my God, that's a real drum. Dude, there's no tone. There's no vocal tuner. What's going on here?
Yeah, speaking of bands that play their own instruments, where's Hanson?
Okay.
Where's Milli Vanilli?
Stop it. Milli Vanilli didn't even sing their own songs. All right. Whereas Prince is a good question. I think Prince was, I love those first 3 albums. They were amazing. And then he had the battle with the record label. And, he kind of purposely changed his whole style. So that, at least that's the word on the street, because he didn't want to put out good albums anymore. How is Janet ranked above Michael? I don't know. Fumar, I don't get it. I don't. And where's the rappers in this? There are, some big influences in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s that kind of shaped where hip-hop, now hip-hop's totally different and rap is totally different now than it was back then, but there's no one that qualifies. That's kind of weird. It is only top 10, so I guess it's tough. But Public Enemy.
I don't know how Janet Jackson makes the list of the top 10 most influential.
I don't either.
I'm not saying she was a bad singer or anything like that, or her music didn't hit. But come on.
Right. I agree with you, and I think if you go back in history, the only band that's like relatively old here is the Beatles, Elvis Presley, and Elton John. And I guess Stevie Wonder, right? They're the only ones but there were guys during Elvis's time that were just as influential. There really were. Yeah. And it seems like, well, again, this is X, right? I think a lot of people are on here and they post stuff up on X.
Wasn't this Rolling Stones? Oh, it's just rock history. Never mind.
Yeah. He's just trying to get hits.
There you go, Derek. You fell for it.
Do you agree? Who's missing here? I fell for what?
He's just trying to get hits.
Oh, well, yeah. And I don't know. I didn't click on this guy and like him or anything. So I don't know why he's coming across my feed.
Maybe he promoted this one, so it's going to pop up on other people's feeds who may have nothing to do with rock history or anything like that.
Well, I just think maybe X has this algorithm that's like, what can we put on this guy's feed to piss him off?
But I could.
That's what I think.
Maybe that's what it is, Derek.
Yeah.
But I could go into one of our posts and promote our posts. You'd pay a little penny or two, and it would promote it by pumping it into more people's their home thread or the main feed. So it's kind of like advertising your account, your channel, to try to get more people to sub and everything like that. So
Alex Caven says 90s music, early 2000s was good for music. It was great. Those were the indie rock days, independent rock era, where we had some of the best musicians, but they were all influenced by somebody else bigger than them, But yeah, great era.
But everybody has their influences.
Yeah, but to cut all those bands out, that's kind of crazy. I don't know how you do that, but all right. Well,
I guess you have to go to some truly remote type of artist that aren't influenced by somebody in particular.
Yeah. The fact that this moron says, do you agree? No one's going to agree with you, you fucking idiot. Not a single person on this planet is going to look at that list and agree with you. They might agree with half or 3 of the 10. Some might agree with 8 out of 10, but they're not all going to agree. There's no way. We all have vastly different tastes in music to one degree or another, right? Sometimes it's small, sometimes it is vast, sometimes it's not. So, all right. Well, fuck that guy. Sorry.
Yeah, and speaking of things you don't agree with when it comes to music, Derek, what is your favorite Billy Joel song? Only the Good Die Young? Still rock and roll to me?
Oh my God.
Or is it We Didn't Start the Fire? Pick one. I love how the other comment, the fourth option, other, actually took it. It's like, no. Okay, I'm going to tell you what's wrong or what's right.
I know. I can't remember. So who likes We Didn't Start the Fire? Is that Chris on our feed here? Comment section.
Dude, I don't remember, man. When these fluff comments, I'll forget half of them after the show.
Right. Still rock and roll.
Sure.
Still rock and roll to me was like one of the worst songs on Glass Houses. There are plenty of great songs on Glass Houses. Big Shot being one of them. It's a fabulous song. You had to be a big shot. That's a great song. He has plenty of others. The whole Nylon Curtain album, fabulous. Only the Good Die Young makes me want to stick fucking ice pick in my skull. It is a horrible song with horrible lyrics and horrible music, and that he was trying to do his doo-wop thing, and he's not very good at it, frankly. So there it is. Lou likes. Maybe there were other people too, Lou, besides you, who said you didn't start the fire.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're catchy enough songs and all. There may not be great songs by any means, but
It's
I mean,
catchy.
people will listen to be like, hey, yeah, we didn't start the fire.
It's catchy. I get it. But I mean, the verses are completely goofy. He's just naming all these people that rhyme with one another. And that's the verse. And that's what I can't get over. So, all right. Yes, ice picks in both ears.
All right.
Now,
People are still chiming in about the last topic of the top 10.
Yeah.
Fumar with a great point here.
James Brown. Although
Parliament and James Brown are backbones to hip hop.
James Brown was so unique, it's almost hard to even draw influence from it because he's just a freak of nature. He's that good. And then, but lots of people used his samples in hip hop. That's for sure. Like when samples were still allowed early on. And then Chuck Berry, yes, no doubt. One of the kind of first hard rockers, if you will. He could jam it. Spencer Doherty, 269. Speaking of music, does Derek F.W. Rototoms?
Fuck with?
Rototoms.
Rototoms?
Are those the like electronic toms? I've never like drums. I don't know what rototoms are.
I feel like it's got to be the electronic drums.
Yeah, I've never played an electronic drum in my life. I have an
electronic drum set right here in the box. I'm just looking at it right now.
I mean, I've used an 808 before to make hip hop beats, but never played the doom doom doom. Yeah,
he's got it covered. Thing's broken.
Those are the really high pitched drums played often in marching bands. Huh, I didn't know that. No, I was never a marching band guy. I didn't pick up music until like my sophomore year in college. I was at a party. This band played. They didn't have a singer. I was intoxicated and stoned. They said, "Can you sit in and sing?" I said, not really. Don't want to do that. They're like, "Come on, just give it a try. We need somebody to sing on these songs." And I sang, and they're like, "You're hired." That was it. And then that band, died off. And then I decided, well, I'm going to keep doing this. I better learn to play guitar, which I did. And I better learn to play every instrument, which I did. I bought a 4-track, and I went out and started picking my own band members and made my own band. Anyhow, that's kind of how that usually happens, right? Happenstance that bands get together. It's just like an accident. Because back then, even though I was listening to Pavement and Sonic Youth and the Pixies and all that, I was mostly a hip-hop guy. I mean, a big-time hip-hop head. So, I was doing hip-hop with my friend Jeremy in his basement using a sampler. We were working on that kind of stuff. It never occurred to me to start an indie rock band. I can tell you that much.
Especially when constructing a band, it's always best to pick. Always best to go out and handpick your own fellow artists within the band. You don't want to just be lumped with somebody, a bad employee, if you will.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Derek, I imagine this came off of you sent this out to probably all your band members, if I recall correctly. Right? You're telling them, hey, even while you're on vacation, you still have to work, bitches.
Yeah, I mean, I could be a little bit of a tyrant, which is obvious by the fact that, every song
Attention all staff.
I mean, every song on the new album that came out, I wrote. But yeah, so I could be a little bit of a bossy bitch. But yeah, this staff thing is when you're not working, you must be reachable via your cell phone. If you cannot be reached to accept the voluntary mandatory shift coverage of another coworker that is called in, you will be written up. 2 or more write-ups, and you will be eligible for termination. Unless we really like you. If we don't like you.
Or we really need you because we've terminated so many other people.
Right, exactly. Remember to ask yourself, how can I best serve the company? when you are thinking about not answering your phone while on your day off, or this one really kills me, or on vacation. So you save up all your money. Let's say this job somewhere in Indianapolis, you fly off to Florida with your family, right? For like a 3-day vacation.
You on call.
And you got to still pick up your phone. And what are you going to do?
From 8 to 6, please.
You going to fly back to cover a shift? This is ridiculous.
Depends. You might be able to do it remotely, Derek. You might be able to spend from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the beach in Florida answering phone calls while your kids are fighting off sharks because you're too busy answering a phone call.
Exactly. I'll tell you what. If I read this, I'd be gone the next day. But unfortunately, some people need their job, so they can't just pick up and leave. They got to put up with this kind of fucking... This whole message says, you are our bitch. So suck it up. You're a bitch to us. Suck it up. Like, this is the worst leadership I have ever seen.
Here's the funny thing, though. It cannot be reached to accept the voluntary mandatory shift coverage of a coworker who has called in.
Yeah.
So the coworker who's supposed to work can call in, but the person who's on vacation has to drop everything in order to cover the shift of the person called. What if it was mandatory coverage and the person on vacation ends up calling in, hey man, I can't make it. I can't make it this, I'm sick. I'm under the weather,
So this is how good companies do it, right, Brett? They have a sign-up sheet every week for people who want the extra hours, right? And you say, all right, here are the shifts. If you're open to doing that, because a lot of people need to work extra to pay their bills and support their family, you'll get that. And you're willing to pay overtime, which is time plus, right?
Yeah.
So people sign up for that constantly, because they'd rather do that and work 2 jobs, because a lot of people have to work 2 jobs. Okay. So yeah, that's not the way you do it. That's not the way you talk to people. And you sure as hell don't put it up on a door. If you want to have a meeting about it and discuss it and come up with a plan as a team about how you're going to, have coverage, because honestly, if you're the boss, maybe you should be covering it. Okay. You're the boss of all these people, like a manager in the company. Well, that's probably why she's pissed, because she's having to cover it, right? Or I'm guessing that's a she. It could be a he. I don't know. It doesn't sound. I don't know. I don't want to make any presumptions. All right.
I actually do have video evidence of the. You said she, and I'm pretty sure that's who this is.
Okay.
I actually did some research and found out who the lady is that posted that up on the work fridge.
No shit.
And the mentality that followed that type of comment. So Here we go.
All right. This is really sad.
House for a friend's birthday, and she ordered a steak, and the waitress goes, how do you want your cow cooked? And I'm like, that's a weird way to order it, but what?
What?
Is it a weird way to order it? How would you like your cow cooked?
Cooked. Why do you think people say just cook it till it stops mooing? She never heard that one before?
Come on.
Oh my God.
That never happened, did it, Homer?
I wanted a hamburger. I'd been craving a hamburger. So I order, the cheeseburger.
This is really interesting.
And she goes, how do you want your cow cooked? And I kind of awkwardly look at my friend, because I was like, I feel really embarrassed. Do I point out that it's not cow? Like, hamburger is a pig.
Oh my God. There are people on this planet that think hamburgers from a pig. And this was her follow-up. Like, she followed up with this, and she got totally reamed on X for this, but she kept going with it.
Well, the reason she got reamed is not only did she say it's pig, because it's ham, as in pig. Derek.
Oh my God!
So she, that's the person that's putting those attention all staff letters up on the staff room fridges, saying that you've got to, if somebody calls in, you've got to come in, even if it's on your vacation. Those are the people. That's the mentality, right?
It's so pitiful. It's hard to even laugh about how dumb that is.
It's pretty easy to laugh about.
I did the first time I read it. Jessica Simpson thought tuna was chicken. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Well, that's in her defense. Well, not really her defense. There's no defense for that. But it is state. It's the chicken of the sea.
Chicken of the sea. Maybe she thinks chickens live in the sea. I don't know.
There's some swimming chicken, apparently. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right. Oh boy, this is tough. All right.
Well, sticking on a similar, but not similar theme here.
We better speed up the fluff.
There's no such thing, Derek.
Okay.
Chris Gary wants to know if this is too gross for straight red card fluff. There's nothing too gross for straight red card fluff.
Okay.
Posting L's, yeah.
A solid 9-inch turd falls out of stripper's butt while performing on stage. Requests for her lap dances are up 300%. I don't think the other people are aware of that the night before a turd fell out of her butt.
Well, it doesn't say the night before. It could have been she's up on stage, and then after she's done being on stage, she walks around the plebs out on the dance floors or out on the actual floor and gives lap dances. For money.
Then there are a lot weirder people going to strip bars than I thought.
Yeah.
Because I would ask you to go cha-cha-cha and go wash up first. And I wouldn't be at a strip bar anyhow. So that's
fair enough. That's true.
Yeah. That's pretty gross though. Thanks for that, Chris.
Speaking of other gross stuff we can talk about.
And I doubt the turd just fell out. Okay. Turds just don't fall out.
She's like up on the pole and everything like that, and she can watch the 9-inch turd apparently fall. Yeah, but 9 inches. Come on.
I mean, they don't just fall out, people. Lisa Sparks with triple XO. She must be a porn star then. Broke the record in 2004, having sex with the most men in a day. Within 12 hours, she had sexual intercourse with 919 different men. Man, she must not have been able to walk the next day.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to be the first man in this list, let alone the 919th.
Sounds pretty gooey.
I want to be the first one on that list.
I mean, does that mean they finished? They all finished? Or did you
would imagine? You think it's a dip and walk away?
I don't know. 919. I mean, that's a lot of minutes. 919 minutes is a lot of minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean, geez. Okay. Well, you're making me do this now.
Do the math. I'm telling you.
Calculator.
That's over 3 hours. If everybody just does a minute, that's it. Not all those guys are going to finish in a minute.
Yeah, no. There's only 720 minutes in 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like if it happened.
Well, it depends on how many you're doing at the same time, right? Maybe there's double pen. Maybe there's oral. Who knows what it's classified as?
Yeah.
Well, it says intercourse. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does say intercourse. So anyhow, not a record I'd necessarily want on the top of my list of things to be remembered for, but each of us have our goals.
As we branch out of this type of a topic and fluff, and we go into our soccer fluff pieces here, I do want to bring in a super chat that was from earlier. I just want to pull this up right when she was on and I'll stop sharing here. There you go.
PT69 says for $5 approach, we appreciate it. Yes, we don't want to get our video struck. Apparently, that's a word you can't say.
I should have brought this up during the 9-incher. That would have made more sense.
With the toes part, yeah. Yeah, gross though. Europa Conference League final tomorrow, so Derek will be stay flaccid. I'm probably going to watch it. So I'm not
enjoy it.
I'm just not, there's not a lot going on right now. So, yeah.
Europa Conference.
If there's a set.
That'd be broadcasted somewhere?
Yes. It is on Paramount.
Who's playing?
Wait, Conference League. That's even lower.
Yeah, I know, Derek. That's what I'm laughing about.
Oh, yeah, that's worse. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. But they also have that on Paramount. I just never watched a single conference game in my life. Conference League game. Because that's not even that's now the third tier down the big trophy list, right? So That's even less meaningful. I'm sure the fans love it, but of the teams, because they get one more game this season, right? But the rest of us could not name a single conference winner unless it's our team in the last whatever, how many years they've had it around. And I'm not even sure I know what that is. So just mostly a Champions League guy. That's it. Like the rest of it, it's probably some good games against, a few good teams playing each other, like Atalanta. Very good. Very fun watching that and watching them do what they did. Just that level below Champions League. But I have never really thought about going even lower. That's not good. Olympiacos versus Fiorentina. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd catch that one. I probably will because there's nothing else on. And I love soccer, so I'll just watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Derek, we already started talking about this earlier on the show, but Greenland has officially applied to be a member of CONCACAF.
Greenland, that's so crazy. I think they have one what you would consider major airport. Their stands hold 5,000 people. I think 57 or so thousand people live on the whole island.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures though, man. You have like the icebergs in the distance in the bay.
Yes.
A really cool location for all but like a handful of thousand people.
But I'm guessing that, and I don't know where the capital is of Nuuk. It's called Nuuk. Don't know where that is exactly. I think it's on the southwestern side, maybe.
Does that start with a K or a G?
N-U-U-K.
Oh,
Nuuk.
never mind.
No, I mean, the thing you got to understand, even though the Norwegians and the Danish, Denmark and Norway have been involved in settling this, and there were Norse settlements around, 90% of the population are actually Inuit or of mixed Inuit ethnic origins. Eskimos, as they used to call them. They're Inuits. So that's not how people think of Greenland. They think of Denmark and Norway. And yes, because they all kind of have like Norwegian or Danish last sounding names, but their first names aren't. And
I just love the fact that some Vikings came over, they found this land, they're like, oh, what are we going to call it? And some sarcastic asshole that was just, manning an oar goes, let's fucking call it Greenland.
Eric the Red was his name. Yes. And he wanted to name it that so more people would come to visit. He thought,
yeah, that's true. And yes, you're right. I remember this actually.
I mean, because
we talked about this, but I didn't know this from like Viking lore, I guess.
Yeah, because if you named it like Iceland 2, no, we're the real Iceland. Trust me. That wouldn't have worked.
But again, to that point, then why would you want to name a block of land, an island, Iceland? Is it to prevent people from coming? I don't want anybody on my fucking island. Go away. It's loaded with ice, guys. It is an uninhabitable place.
Which is so funny because Greenland got definitely it's massive, but they've had some of the coldest winters on Earth outside of Antarctica. So they also have the highest suicide rate in the world. Mm-hmm. So that's depressing. Anyhow, they will suck. They will suck. Let's just put it that way. They will suck.
Anyways, they'll suck.
They will suck.
They'll be like the C tier of CONCACAF Nations League, maybe.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we won't have any road trips to Greenland for any the hex or octagonal or whatever we're gonna have in the future.
I think St. Kitts will beat the crap out of Greenland. Let's just put it that way. Now I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Their big sport there that they were good at was handball at one point. But soccer, they could be good.
I wonder how many kids they could pillage from colleges throughout North America, or U.S. and Canada primarily, I imagine. But
their big hope, since they are still a protectorate of Denmark, is that there are a lot of people that were born in Greenland that moved to Denmark they play in the Danish league, but let's say have a Greenlandic grandmother that also qualifies them to play for Greenland. And so they end up playing for Greenland instead. Yeah. That's probably their best hope to put together a decent team. I'm not sure.
So Broken was just saying too, might get some good Scandi dual nets.
Right. They will have to be from Denmark, or have a grandmother or a grandfather or whatever, at least, that were once Greenlandic citizens. And by the way, that's a language too, and it's based off the Inuit Eskimo language. That's the official language, although they speak English and they speak, I believe, Norwegian a little bit, and Dutch, Danish there as well. Anyhow, weird place. I had to go. I just kind of checked out some information on Greenland because I'm like, that's never been a place I've thought about visiting ever.
You said their capital's Nuuk.
Nuuk.
Oh, Nuuk.
Nuuk. I believe it's pronounced Nuuk in Inuit. It's Nuuk.
Yeah. Judgmental Deity tells us the St. Kitts beat San Marino 3-1, so he thinks that they can handle Greenland.
I think they can. I mean, I was trying to be nice there, but I think it'll be a pretty atrocious score unless they do what we said they could or do, which is find a bunch of Danish players who had grandparents that once lived in Greenland, had a grandparent, at least one. All right, so Tyler Adams, where's he at?
I have no idea where he must be on vacation somewhere, man. That's definitely not England.
That looks like a cartoon almost, like a 50s cartoon or a 50s photo.
Yeah, well, it's because it's grayed out a little bit here, but I'm not sure why. But so here he is. He's just minding his business, working on a crossword
puzzle. Yeah,
just on his vacay, enjoying life. And Chris Richards says, since when did you read the newspaper?
Damn.
Matt Turner says, bro, his crossword better be elevated. I call sitting at his table.
That's funny. I mean, I don't know. That it looks like a newspaper, but it could be something he printed out, from his computer.
Well, definitely his paper. It's not a newspaper. You're right, because it's folded over. It's definitely been stapled.
Yeah,
and he's 100%. Yeah,
he's just trying to keep himself, amused. In the meantime, some people do porn. He does crossword.
You go out in the field, you get physically stimulated by playing the game itself, and then you come home, you need to do mentally stimulation, right?
Well, and he's been injured for so long, he probably picked up a whole bunch of new hobbies.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's reading the newspaper.
No, I think he's it definitely looks like it's like a printed off from the newspaper. I mean, because it looks newspaper format.
It's stapled, as you say.
Yeah, He definitely printed it off. Yeah,
right.
But props to him. I feel like, quite frankly, I feel like if there's one person on the U.S. men's national team that's probably going to do a crossword puzzle, I feel like it's Adams.
Who else is cerebral? Tim Ream.
Oh, fair enough.
I think Tim Ream would be. I think he'd do good on a quiz. Who else? I guess Tim Ream, just because he's old.
Right? Yeah. Puts on his reading glasses. All right.
But you're right. Can't really think of anybody else.
Where was Noah's Ark found? Oh, I was there at that time, actually. Huh?
Right. Hey, just want to thank all 183 people watching right now on both YouTube and Twitter. Make sure you hit like if you're on YouTube, of course. Don't know if you can do that on Twitter. Can you?
No, they can like the thread that has our video streaming on it. Yes, they can like that. That'd be cool, guys. Like that. Let's get some interactions on Twitter too if you're watching us on Twitter.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us on Twitter. Kind of been fun to add that new angle to this. So, all right, what else we got, Brett?
Well, it's week 3 on BMR's educating Derek on the Turkish league.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Derek, just watch the Turkish league.
Fenerbahce. All right, what's it say?
That's passion. That's passion.
Fenerbahce fans are not happy after I didn't watch the league. After they didn't win the league, they are ripping up posters of the president, Ali Koçi. Wow, they're mad.
There's no I there. Is the C in Turkish a chi sound?
Oh, is that an exclamation mark?
Ali Koç? That's an exclamation point, yes.
Okay, so it's so small.
I knew it wasn't cocked.
I'm just telling you, it looks like, this is so small. That's like looking at an ant's dick. That's how small this is for me.
Yeah, so let's see here. What does BMR mention here? BMR mentions Derek needs to watch Turkish league. They only lost one game this season, and this is how they're acting.
Really? They only lost one game and they didn't win?
Passion there.
The
Derek.
league? They must have tied a whole bunch of motherfuckers.
Maybe they have Allegri's second coaching over there too, apparently.
Yeah. Listen, I used to watch it a little bit back in the day. There's really just no place to watch it. There's no place to. I used to watch them and follow them in the Champions League. You know, when Fenerbahce and Besiktas would usually be the two teams that would make it, but others have too in the past. But you know,
apparently they had 99 points and Galatasaray had 102 points.
Yeah, Galatasaray being the biggest club in Turkey for it seems like forever. But they don't win the league every year. It's not like Bayern, you know, until recently. They don't win it every year, Galatasaray.
Oh, man.
But
go ahead, finish your thought process.
I was going to say those top three teams go out and usually buy players from across Europe who are in their, you know, early 30s and the best of their career is over, right? So that's kind of what happens there. And that's why they tend to be better. And then, you know, not that the domestic league isn't improving in Turkey, domestic players, but there been a definitely in Turkey, there's been criticism of the Turkish league not developing enough good Turkish players. They might be changing that around now. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Turkey.
Yeah, but the whole fact that they got like 99, they didn't win the league, just brings me back to Leeds in the EFL getting 90 points in the league, and not qualifying for promotion at that point.
It's tough, but
that's brutal.
They fucked it up themselves. They played horrible. Last 6 games of the season were horrible, and now we'll discuss this later. What do you do with Aaronson? What do you do? Because honestly, about half that team are leaving.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because we will talk about this later. But Leeds, I read something last week that Leeds if Leeds don't get promoted, they're going to have to they're going to have to basically sell about $100 million worth of players.
Now, I did the math today. It doesn't really turn out to that because they haven't gotten their payments yet for Rafinha, and Adams and
fuck it, they not gotten the payments for Adams.
It's due at the end of the season, so they'll get the full payments. And what happens is that'll cut it down. What they got to cover is about 30 million when you end up doing all the other math.
How much did they get for Rafinha? Because it was 20 mil for Adams, wasn't it?
I don't know all the total numbers. I don't know if it was ever disclosed, but I do know this.
Yeah,
it's all said and done. They're going to have to sell a player or 2 players to get that 30 million. So that would probably be Wober would be my best guess, and maybe Somerville. That might cover the costs of that 30 million between the two. It's possible. I mean, Gladbach definitely want Wober back, right? So now what they end up doing with Aronson, that's a whole nother thing. Well,
I guess if they can get a loan, they'll get a loan, but
more than likely he's going to go back out on loan because it just sounds like not even the more calm-minded of the guys that cover Leeds have said, yeah, we could use. I mean, they kind of say this. They say, yeah, I mean, we could probably use him like off the bench. Like, okay, did you watch the last 10 games he played for Union Berlin this season? They were pretty good. Well, 7 of them were. And then, you know, some stinkers at the beginning of the season for sure.
Yeah.
We were hard on Aaron here. So don't call us Aronson apologists. Like, I was making fun of him for missing sitters all season at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
No. And now, you know, people are like, oh, you know, you're just apologizing for him. Well, no, when he had some good games, we say he had good games. When he has shitty games, we say he's playing like shit.
It's surprising. We do that for everybody.
Yeah.
It goes across the board. Benny says that Gray, Somerville, and Nanto are gone.
I get the feeling they're going to do everything in their power to hold on to Gray. Everything they possibly can do to hold on to Gray. I think they're going to do it, but I do agree with you with Somerville and Nanto. I think they're both gone. I agree with that. And they're going to lose because Roca. They're going to sell Roca or put him back out on loan. Harrison probably just going to lose him outright when he comes back. Vober's definitely gone because Gladbach are willing to pay the demand to sign after the loan. Rutter, they're going to try to hold on to for dear life if they can. And then Archie Gray, as I just mentioned, I think he's a goner. I mean, they're going to try to hold on to him as much as they possibly can. Nanto, Somerville, both gone. Aaronson probably gone on loan. Yeah, it's going to get tough because their parachute payment is going to go from about 30 million or 40 million for the first season down to 30-ish million. And then the next season, they only have one more after that if they don't go back up. And that's going to be like 15 million. So it's going to be tough. Transfermarkt websites for Fina transfer cost 58 million for Barca. Yeah, that's kind of why I think that 190 million deficit that people keep posting up is wrong. And I actually reached out to some people, Leeds guys, who helped me clarify the numbers better.
Well, I mean, how much of that 58 mil is going to Rafina's previous clubs, etc. Obviously, the 58 is not just purely Leeds' profit.
That's what I've been told.
So
that's not that number, though. That's not the number I got. I was told 50-ish, but if it is 58,
that'd make more sense. That'd make more sense, right?
Yeah, I just didn't.
You start looking at the previous club, say about 10% or whatever it was, whatever normally is. I'm not sure what the exact number usually is, but that'd make more sense, about 50-ish.
But yeah, I mean, the agent gets some of that maybe too. I don't know what number that particular the number you just read.
Well, yes, I think Herc talked about not only players, but the agents. Obviously, every single move, which is why you see some extreme journeymen that get moved around from club to club to club to club to club.
Yeah,
it's on purpose,
right? Okay, we'll get to Aronson in a second, although we might have just covered that topic.
We covered a bit of it there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll still go over it real quickly. It just won't be as long as it was going to be.
Right. He is going to get loaned back out. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
The Leeds fans don't want him back. That will be a living hell for him if he has to go back, unless he goes out there and let's say in the first 3 or 4 games, like fireworks shoot out of his asshole and he's like the best player on the pitch. That's the only way you can win them back. And do you really want to put yourself under that hellish pressure? Maybe Aronson can handle it now because, Dark Brendan, who came to us after he wasn't called up, briefly for the U.S. men's national team. That's a different guy. Kind of like Dark Sargent was a different guy, when he came back after his kid was born. That was a different dude. That dude had balls.
Let's not just add the Dark to everybody. Dark Brendan is his own beast. Once Sargent regained his balls, once he became a man by having a child.
Yeah, something to that. I'm serious. He was a different guy.
It's a difference between a child who hasn't grown up compared to somebody who now realizes that they have responsibilities beyond them.
Right. Fumar makes a good point. I don't think any club needs Aronson. Well, his old team, Salzburg, would need him because they didn't win in Austria this year for the first time, I believe, in eon. So they could probably use him. But if you're talking about a top 5 league, it's going to be tough for them to find a suitor fully willing to pay his full salary, Leeds, and or if they want to sell him, they're not going to sell him for more than 10 million. And they bought him for a buttload. They're going to lose millions on
That's
that.
why it's going to be a loan or he's going to be riding Pine for bulk of the season next year. Judgmental Deity does say not any club. What about Chicago Fire? No. Chicago Fire doesn't need any more players who are going to miss the fucking goal. No, we're fine. We're fine without him. We missed the goal plenty.
I mean, I'm talking about big teams in Europe. I'm not talking about or top 5 league teams.
I'm not talking about wooden spoon teams of MLS.
I do think a newly promoted team in Germany or a newly promoted team in Italy could use Aronson. He's not that bad. He showed something in those last 6 or 7 games that, I mean, We're revealing.
One of the newly promoted teams in Bundesliga actually has expressed interest. We talked about this a show or two ago.
Yeah.
Has expressed interest in getting him on a full-term loan, full season loan. So
now,
there's definitely interest there. They're just whether or not it's going to be what Leeds wants and price-wise.
Right.
But Leeds needs him to get playing time because they're not going to play him.
I mean, their ask price right now, according to what I'm reading, is between 12 and $14 million. And Union Berlin's just said, no, we can't afford it. Sorry, he's going back.
It's like 8 to 10 million more than they'll get for him at this point. He needs a season of good play before anything like that ever comes back up.
I mean, there's plenty of mid-table teams in Holland he would be a star on, just like his little brother was at Vitesse, who unfortunately were relegated during his loan. But he was the best player on that Vitesse team. But, some mid-table team, like, Go Ahead Eagles. I think we mentioned that before. Go play for Go Ahead Eagles. All right. Midnight Man, you're back, man. Have you cut your album yet? I'm the Midnight Man. You should have. For $1.99 with that name, what is Dest's Barca future under Hansi Flick? I think it's just kind of wide back open again.
I think it's chilling at home.
Right, for a good long while, yeah.
For a healthy chunk of the season, yeah.
Because he is
training. It's sitting at home, and then it's the training pitch for the remainder of the season. That's all next season. What happens after that is up in the air.
Yeah, so he had the surgery, so he is able to ride the stationary bike right now, but it's going to be a long time before he's ready to go play. So, a long time. And that's really hurts us more than it does Barcelona. When I say us, I mean U.S. men's national team. All right.
Well, I mean, to beat a topic
to a pulp.
Something we always bring up. It's a guarantee to come up when we talk about Berhalter is the African dogs.
Oh yeah.
Well, this time we have a new one from Stevie Nichols about it's his version of the African dog.
He has a version of that,
sort of. I thought it was funny, and it's the first thing that popped in my mind when I heard him say it. So, let's give him a quick listen. This has to do about how Dortmund has to defend against Real Madrid in the Champions League finals.
Yeah,
and basically how Dortmund doesn't stand a chance, but if they do stand a chance, it's going to be because of this. Well, hold on, I shared the wrong thing apparently. I shared our Twitter feed, guys.
If they do win, it's going to be because of Brett and Derek.
Because of you and me, Derek. There we go. This is much better. This is more like it.
All right.
The truth is, Real Madrid are going to have to not be at it, not have the shooting boots on. Dortmund are going to have to defend like tigers and take advantage of any situation to get on the break. Just similar to what we saw at the weekend.
How's a tiger defend?
Oh,
They're going to have to defend like tigers.
I love that Burley called him out immediately
How
for
does
that.
A tiger defend? Wait, hold on. Let's here. It answers it.
Yeah, you don't want anything to do with a tiger.
You don't want anything to do with a tiger.
Yeah, I guess that's the version of African dogs.
It's not quite the same, I know, but
I love Stevie. He's such a goofball.
They're going to have to defend like tigers.
I'd love to get him on this show. We'll have to work on that.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if we can get Wallace on the show, certainly we can get Stevie on this show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Surely. You should. And this is the part of the show where you'd say, "Yes, we can," and quit calling me Shirley.
Nice reference there, Derek.
Yes,
I applaud it.
Airplane. I picked a bad day to stop sniffing cocaine. All right. What else we got?
I enjoy my coffee like I'm in black.
Yeah, that movie's great.
Sticking with the Champions League theme here, Derek, Paramount Plus has announced their broadcasting team for the finals. I just want to go over it real quick.
It seemed really weird. They had to make an announcement about this. Like most of us know who they're going to be already.
Yeah. So I mean, we have the normal crew.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good crew. That's who you'd expect.
Yeah.
They got the rules and analysts. They got the reporters down here. Sure. There's some names that we all know.
The main crew is pretty gregarious. If you're talking about Carragher and Richards, right? And Thierry Henry just looks like he's putting up with them most of the time. I'll just put up with this shit. But I know I'm surrounded by fools. Basically, is kind of how Thierry Henry, his demeanor is. Okay, and the rest.
But yeah, I mean, there's some names we all know.
Uncle.
And I wish I could show the rest without spoiling the joke at the end here. So I'm going to go ahead and spoil the joke at the end here.
Okay. What is it?
They have a on the sidelines announcer who's going to be covering the Spanish end of the Spanish end of the broadcast.
Can you blow it up because it's getting minuscule? It's word of the day, minuscule. Now you had it. That was good. There we go. Now I can see everything.
All right. Here comes the Spanish broadcaster who's going to translate for everybody.
Okay.
Oh, they got Dora the Explorer.
What? What is she doing on there?
She's a special guest. I imagine she's going to be covering the Spanish speaking portion of the population.
I don't get it. I don't get it. What?
They're making the Champions League enjoyable for kids, I guess. I don't know. They're really trying to.
That's weird. Dora the Explorer is part of the special guest list. Oh, they're probably do like some sort of. I don't know if she has a new movie coming out or whatever. It's probably some pitch for the movie, right?
Yeah.
As a special guest.
It's probably gonna a little sideline thing about talking about them. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Alessandro Del Piero, I'm like, what the fuck? You're pairing me with Dora the Explorer as the special guest? Okay.
I'm sorry. I just love the special guest trio and how Del Piero is lumped in with this group.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Joel Embiid, a professional basketball player.
Oh, that was fun.
No, it's CBS. You're weird. But keep doing weird. That's fine.
Yeah.
At least they're fun to watch. They're not particularly, sometimes not particularly insightful. But I really do think that Charlie Davis would have been better than Dora the Explorer. But that's just me.
Does he speak Spanish?
No.
Oh, then no, it won't work.
Oh, so she's doing all the translating, is what you're saying, right?
I'm sure she's going to jump onto the screen while the game's playing, talking about Dora the Explorer.
Well, who's going to
translate? It has nothing to do with the actual sport itself. Maybe there's a commercial that goes with it. I don't know.
Who's going to translate the German?
Trying to think of something funny here.
Well, I'm just asking because, where's Betty from Dortmund? That cartoon character, which doesn't exist and I just made up.
I was going to say, I don't know about that one. Yeah.
Where's Felix the cat?
I was sitting there trying to think of a stereotypical like German cartoon character, but
Felix, that's a great name for an animal. I gotta text that one to my mom. They're getting a new dog this week, a new puppy. All right,
Dora's there to translate Jamie,
especially after he's had a few. Good luck. All right, what else we got?
Johnny's for $2 says, Brett, please explain how a real depth chart works. We're gonna get into the depth chart. Don't worry, Johnny.
Yeah, we're getting there. We saw it. We got it.
We got it.
We got you. Don't worry, Larry. Johnny.
All right, moving on to everybody's favorite topic.
Do not panic. Do not panic. Cap them now. Cap them now. All right. 06 DC United winger fullback Taimour Mohamed is apparently in advanced discussions with League One side Montpellier amid other European interests. A U.S. product, he played 2 friendlies for the small Turkish U17s.
Turkish U17s.
In 2022, but remains fully eligible for the United States or for Ghana. Okay, that's interesting. Don't know. I mean, I'm not a DC regular watching their youth squads, so I don't know how old he is right now. I know he plays for DC United U19s based on this.
Thank you guys for correcting us on this.
Oh, it is Tunisia. Yeah, okay. That's the only other one it could be, actually. Because it's so fully red. So anyhow, I'm not panicking. I don't even know how good this kid's going to be. I mean, he can go to Montpellier and start his experience in Europe, and I think that's fantastic. And he probably, because of the Tunisia connection, has a French passport. So probably speaks French too, for all I know. So it sounds like a good move for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on.
American Ultras.
We gotta go here because that doesn't talk about who it is actually.
Okay, but that dude posted it, right? All right, so
Ultra Talk talks about it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching our show last time and getting to know you. I'll check out your show. I promise I will check it out. I promise I will. Atlanta United winger Tyler Wolff, son of former U.S. men's national team forward Josh Wolff, said the Philippines reached out recently to play for them. I don't think he's going to do that yet. I think he's still young enough that he can maybe, but if he already is conceded that his chances of ever playing for the U.S. men's national team are far, far between, like they're very minuscule, like the size of a chipmunk's testicles, he might go, you know what? I'll go play for the Philippines. His mom is Filipino. It makes sense. So, yeah, he could do it. And I wouldn't blame him if he did.
No, absolutely not. No, in this situation, we're talking about a forward position that's kind of filled with some youthful players already. And there are more promising players coming through the youth ranks at the forward spot at this point. So, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. If I was Tyler, I'd be looking at that as a very viable option.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a better chance there than here. I would be surprised if you wrote this was Owen Wolff, but Tyler, I don't know if his ceiling is high as Owen's. So, he might be ready to make this decision now. So, I wouldn't have any problem with it. Really wouldn't. He could do that. And if he wants to, I don't think in the new expanded World Cup, it is possible, I suppose, for the Philippines to qualify out of Asia. It would still be a long stretch for them to get out of the Asian qualifying, even in a 40,000. Okay, I'm exaggerating now. In a larger World Cup. But, at least he's getting that extra experience, I guess, in his life. Maybe that's something that fulfills him. No way. Cap him now.
Cap him now.
Cap him now.
Robert Odd points out that the Filipino women national team in the last World Cup was basically all American born. He says all American born.
Yep.
Possible.
And there are a lot more Philippine Americans playing in the USL, for example, in League, the Championship, and the League One USL. There's a lot more people they could probably still grab if the Philippines does their research, because there are a lot of Filipino Americans. A lot. The Philippines are already eliminated. Well, yeah. For the next, yeah, I get that. Huh?
For 2026. He's basically stating that, Tyler has no reason to make a decision right now.
He doesn't have to, but he's got, if he actually, as I said before, let me provide the context of what I said. If he thinks he's got like 0% chance of ever playing for the U.S. men's national team, you might as well get to know the team now. Just go to the Philippines and get to know them. Even though they're not going to be playing 2026, and more likely they're not playing in 2030 either. But it's the home of your mother,
But Derek, is he better in the air than Vasquez?
No, he's not. McBride would have gotten that right had he said it.
All right, we're going to cover another dual nat here that we talked about last show, actually. A 14/15-year-old boy wonder in Scotland.
Yeah, people keep talking about this kid, and Fabrizio usually
he's not said wonder kid once, so I don't believe this kid's that good.
He did not say wonder kid because he likes to say wonder kid when he thinks they're wonder kids. The fact that he's dressed in a Scottish uniform here, and looks like he's 5. I mean, and look at how tall the goalkeeper standing next to him is, or whoever that is.
That's definitely a goalkeeper. That's goalkeeper jersey. Right?
So yeah,
the ref wouldn't wear that Scotland jersey.
Well, he seems to be a very
biased.
It's a little munchkin. I wish him the best. I'm not pooping my pants about it, though. I'm not.
Derek, if we don't cap him, Scotland will.
I doubt it'll be that big of a loss.
Yeah, how many 15-year-olds are out there signing professional contracts with Rangers?
It's just way too early for this. Yeah, it's way too early. It's almost a little gross. It's a little gross.
A little, yeah. So people are always people on X were posting like, "Oh my God, he looks like he's 8 years old." I'm like, nah, technically he's is legal.
Yeah.
To attend a PG-13 movie without his parents.
He's 13, right?
15.
Oh my God, this must be an old photo. It's got to be an old photo. He's using an old photo in this post because that does not look like a 15-year-old to me.
Oh. Well, it's possible. I mean, some kids.
Well,
you know what, Chad. I bring up Chad every now and then, but he was 16 years old up until his 30s.
Okay, that's fine, but most aren't. And I mean,
fair.
I was growing up in beard at the age of 15. Okay, so this is crazy, but okay. That doesn't mean he won't turn out to be something. I just wouldn't get too worked up about it.
Goddamn.
Jared from Subway approves this coverage. I think Jared was pretty much into girls, Fumar, young girls. Don't quote me, allegedly. So, I mean, he's in jail, so I guess I don't need to say that. But, yeah. So, I wouldn't get worked up about it. I mean, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on. You guys keep an eye on it.
The funny thing is, I was talking with USMNT Rev on X.
Yep.
And he goes, I attended college in Scotland. 15-year-olds look like men. Like,
yeah, he did say that.
Like grown men.
Yeah, if he were in the San Diego FC Academy, he'd be back with the 12s still.
No chance, yeah.
The U12s, because this kid's got no chance of growing a beard or looking like a Scottish warrior or Highlander anytime real soon. I mean, he might have a growth spurt. It happens. But
Chris Ferry says, no, I'm not keeping an eye on a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's why I changed it. I said, I'm not going to. You can. But if you don't want to, you don't have to either. And I wouldn't blame you. All right, what else we got?
I'm going to wait till he starts proving. Just like every young dual nat, I'm going to wait for them to actually start proving something at a club level.
Exactly. That's how it has to work. I don't know. Maybe Fabrizio's day was slow because it's the second post on that kid.
Under a week, too, man. Again, remember, we talked about this on Thursday, so.
Yeah, that's too much. Nobody, I mean, I guess you're informing people. Great. I mean, but if you're bored, I mean, he's got nothing else to report but that. There's all kinds of talks and things going on behind the scenes about where all kinds of our players are going to end up next season. Who's staying where? Which loanee's going to stay loaned? Who's injured and going to come back from injury? Daryl Dike? I don't know. Does it matter? That's the other question. If Daryl Dike comes back from injury, it does. If you like Daryl Dike,
he will. Then he'll just get re-injured.
I hope not. I'm starting to feel really bad for Dike.
Yeah,
he's such a nice kid.
It's gonna be tough for him to get another contract anywhere.
Talk about a gentle giant. What a good kid. All right, what else we got?
Moving on.
Transfer news, transfer news. Who's getting mounted on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news but me.
Whatever.
I guess before jumping over to this topic real quick, there were a couple super chats that came in when we were finishing up the dual nats.
Okay. Jack Pineda for $5. Thank you, Jack. We do appreciate it. The Catholic Priest and Young Boys Relations Association approves of this scouting. Yeah. I mean, he is 15. I mean, that's high school freshman age, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I guess if you're in high school, you're fine to be ogling the boy. But if you're not in high school and you're an old man, not so good. All right. I mean, unless it's your job. That's what you do for a living. And I guess it is Fabrizio's job to overhype this kid twice in 1 week or 2 weeks. All right. PSV. Oh, you're going to make me read Dutch?
No, do the Jose Reyes for $5.
Oh, sorry. Jose Reyes for $5. Hey, Jose. I didn't see it flip to another one. I know a kid who's eligible for both the U.S. men's national team and Puerto Rico. He has interest from Real Madrid and Manchester City. He currently plays for pennies. Huh. That would be your son?
Fumar responds saying they're eligible for the U.S. is redundant.
It is. There are over 500 of them in the world. There are probably more than that.
No.
That guy just quit at 500. The guy that was documenting all the dual nats playing soccer around the world just quit. He's like, fuck this. I am done.
No. Fumar said Puerto Ricans are Americans, saying
They
that
are.
They're U.S. eligible is redundant, is what he's saying.
Yeah, they are American citizens. That is indeed true. It's not a foreign country, Puerto Rico, but they do have their own national team. All right, so keep that in mind. They're not a state. They're I guess it's called a protectorate, right? They're not a state. They don't have, they have non-voting roles in our Congress, in our Senate, in the House, but they don't have an actual vote in either. So they're not a state. They are a protectorate, kind of like Greenland is still their head of state is still the king of Denmark. Okay, but they're going to have their own soccer team.
Yeah,
as Puerto Rico has their own national soccer team, as American Samoa has their own soccer team, even though they are also an American protectorate. So go ahead.
I'm not sure why the translate button's not here for this post right now. I've translated before on a different post earlier, but I'm not sure why it's not popping up right now. Basically, do you want to try to read it?
Yeah, PSV is here. Gescharmit von Caleb Wiley. They would say Wiley probably. Die 19-jährige Linksback kommt uit voor Atlanta United. Ernie Stewart kennt hem nog van Jin. Make me stop this.
Do you have to see you falling asleep there? Just stop, please, for the love of God.
I was doing my best.
Basically, the translation that I remember from earlier, I could pull it up on a Duolingo. I could pull it up quick, BMR, but I'm not going to.
Well, we know what it says.
Basically, it says PSV likes what they see from Caleb Wiley. And then this part down here talks about how Caleb remembers his time with Ernie Stewart with the U.S. men's national team and the good things that said. Basically, they're basically saying that PSV is keeping tabs on Caleb Wiley. Not saying that they're aiming to purchase him or whatever. There's no transfer here.
This is just a titillating tease. It's not. Yeah. It may have no chance of happening at all. I think the only way it does is if this is true about Ernie being interested in him. That's the only way that's happening. Because Caleb Wiley did not have a very good season last season. He's kind of stagnated. And the only reason I read all that Dutch, Brett, is because of our growing Dutch audience. Which is, of course. I mean, it's been climbing through the roof lately. And I just wanted to...
Slightly larger than our female audience.
Yes. Apparently we don't speak female, even though we've both been married and had kids. But okay. Ernie Stewart is the best example of modern day nepotism.
Has Ernie Stewart been wrong on any of the Americans he pulled over to PSV yet?
No. Maybe they're saying
how this falls into nepotism.
Because U.S. soccer doesn't typically bring guys like old school U.S. men's national team players into the fold of U.S. soccer. Like, that's not why. I mean, was an unusually and surprising that Ernie Stewart got the job he did at U.S. soccer. And I don't think it had anything to it. Might have. Not that I've ever read, though. Never read that Ernie Stewart got his job at U.S. Soccer based on nepotism. None of his family works there.
Well, okay, so I'm reading this differently than you are, apparently, because I'm reading him saying that he's the modern day of nepotism being that he's an American and he's bringing Americans to PSV.
Okay, that's one way to look at it too, but it's not like it hasn't been extremely successful.
Yes, it's not like he's not bringing Aaron Long over.
Yeah,
sorry to randomly kick you while you're down, Aaron.
I'm just saying what Ernie's doing is smart because he knows he can get these American players for a lot less. I mean, the deals he made to bring some of these players over on like loan, Dest was one of the best players on the team all season, and Tillman, those were great deals. And now they've signed Tillman full on from Bayern at a pretty decent deal that they could afford. So that's just good business. Yeah, if you're talking about U.S. soccer, that I guess would be closer to cronyism, but I don't see any evidence of that either, because I think most of us were surprised Ernie Stewart was hired by U.S. soccer. Like, that's just not what they've actually at U.S. soccer prior to this had gone out of their way to ignore former U.S. men's national team players and hiring them in important positions at U.S. soccer. Like, it just wasn't something they did. So, Al Weinstein for $4.99. How about those Bosch state comments regarding EI ban from training?
I'm guessing it's supposed to be training.
You mean Ernie Stewart banned from training? Sorry, Al. We're trying our best to make out what you're trying to get at here. If you want to clarify without paying again, go ahead and do it, and we'll try to see if we can get what you're trying to say here.
Yeah, just post it in Trend. Sama Pepe.
Oh, he's banned from training? He didn't fuck one of the executives. That was Tillman.
Is this in reference to the issue that happened months ago or whatever? 2 months ago or whatever it was?
It was Tillman who was allegedly having the affair.
No, I think he's referring to well, I don't know if he's referring to or not. He may be referring to the Pepe comments and the agent comments a couple months back.
Yeah. Sorry, Al. We'll figure it out.
Bosch went public last week. Apparently, Did he talk? Or do we have the right? Do we have the right topic in hand here? Is it about the public statement that Pepe and his agent made a couple months ago, and Bosch is not talking about now? Public, or is this a whole new thing?
Yeah, I'm totally confused right now. All right. Anyhow, for Yanks Abroad. This guy says Ernie Stewart.
Real quick, Al, tag me in something, okay?
Yeah. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Ernie Stewart is the best example of modern day nepotism.
Yeah.
Nope. Scroll down.
Oh,
so weird. Since you're the modern day example of incest, your older sister is your mom. I love fucking with Yanks Abroad. That's just fun.
It's a shame he doesn't fuck back. It's a one-sided love, you know.
Refuses to mute me. I love it.
He might mute you. You don't know that. You might be muted.
Don't think I am.
Has he responded to you?
Never.
Then you have no idea if he sees your post or not.
He doesn't.
You'll get no notification if you're muted.
No. That's what he likes. He likes to.
Oh, I don't doubt that he hasn't muted you. I'm just saying that you have no idea if he has or has not.
If you're trolling, everyone that posts is a win.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And like an idiot, I did.
Yeah.
But only to insult him. All right, what else we got?
Well, we talked about it briefly, but Chicago Fire has posted a video on Twitter showing all the close shots and the chances they created against DC United, and they're shockingly 1-1 draw. Usually we've been losing recently.
This is
but now we're back to our Chicago prime of 1-1 draws, 2-2 draws.
Your club is so pathetic.
Oh, it's not great at all right now.
At least Pete's quit watching. He's like, I can't do it anymore.
It's rough.
I can't do it anymore. And then you got your Swiss dude, that Swiss midget that plays on your team.
Shaqiri.
He's like leaving early. He's not even injured.
I'm fine with that, man. I'm fine with him just bolting at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Go away.
All right.
I want Guti to take his position, and you bring in 2 actual wings, and it'll be much better. Much better. Well,
Okay.
I say it'll be much better. We'll still probably miss just as many goals.
It'll
But
be less shitty.
We'll at least have a creative midfielder who gives a fuck.
I mean, you will have one that gives a fuck. I don't know if it's going to get better. You're right.
That's basically.
Do you really need to play all these missed shots?
No, I'm not playing any of those.
Okay.
I'm not gonna play the actual video. 1, I don't want MLS come knocking on our door. 2, it's just fun to poke fun at this point.
It is. It's really sad. It is
super sad.
For all the money and investment they've made over the years to be as bad as they are.
Yeah,
it's just pitiful.
Well, it's one of those things like we're developing. We had Mihailovic. He didn't flourish in the Chicago. Nobody flourishes in Chicago. He goes off to Montreal. He does well, and he gets sold off to AZ. Now he's back in Colorado making DP money.
He's playing well for Colorado.
At this point, Guti get back out of Chicago because it's not working for him because Chicago's Chicago, and then we'll see him flourish.
Well, apparently Guti was willing to sign the new contract, so
he wants that. He wants that's money, and they'll eventually sell him. It's not going to do them any good to keep a hold of him.
I mean, have you ever heard of Brian Gutierrez rumor of him going overseas, though?
Yeah, not really, no.
No, it's not something that comes out. It's kind of weird.
Well,
it really is.
Given the extension of his contract, and you're looking at another 5 years of MLS, guaranteed, but maybe not necessarily guaranteed. I don't think any club is going to come and knocking because he hasn't necessarily done enough to warrant a massive transfer by any means, and Chicago's not going to sell him cheaply.
No, Chicago are definitely not letting him go cheaply. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So whoever comes in and maybe does, let's say a scout sees him and goes, that guy's really good, we want to bring him in, they're going to make that team overpay, basically.
Sure. 100%, yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
Look, apparently there's some rumors that Di Maria might be coming to Inter Miami. I'm not sure how Inter Miami can afford another star player on their roster, but they'll make it work somehow.
I don't get it either. I really don't understand how this would possibly work.
Money shuffling around and back in payments out. It's weird. My pillow was filled with $100 bills. I'm not sure how that worked out.
I mean, I will say this about Fabian Rengel. He's not the most this is not the guy where who I would go to for my news. Okay. I don't have anything against him. I've just read some of
he's posted a number of things, number of places.
But he does say this is crazy. It's a crazy rumor.
Yeah. He's not saying yeah or nay, but I mean, he's not the first one to mention Di Maria coming, and obviously it's going to be going to Inter Miami. That's where it's going to go. But
yeah, this is just getting a little almost unbelievable. I mean, I'd like to see the published numbers, and
they recently did publish the numbers.
Yeah, but not details. Not all the details, right? About how they're making it with Tam and Gam, etc.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. Well,
no.
I think the problem is that MLS would, and this is the question we all have, they're trying to build a super group MLS. And do they change the rules or cheat to allow teams to do that? Yeah. It's called the Beckham rule. That's one of the times it happened. There's no way. But MLS said, not only can LA sign him, we're making up this new thing called a DP, and we're going to give him a percentage and a guarantee of starting his own MLS team after he retires. That's what we're giving up. Yes, is that normal? No, it's not. Is it how the rules were last season? No. But you know what? Alexi Laus has convinced us that this is a great idea. So we're going to do it. Because Alexi was at LA Galaxy at the time that it happened. Sure. He was the sporting director. So, all right.
So I really only bring up the Di Maria rumors just to to kickstart us into the big MLS topic, in which we'll go through pretty quick because I know that MLS isn't the hot ticket
No,
for all of your interests. So we'll move by relatively quickly here.
we'll probably lose at least 20 people on this. All right, here we go.
Probably we'll get them back in the aggregate though. Don't worry.
Dwan Rollins, if you buy a ticket for sporting contests, you are guaranteed nothing but a seat at that game or event. So fans upset that Messi isn't playing in Vancouver don't really have a leg to stand on. However, the Whitecaps should not have billed the event as special. That's all sides. Yeah, it depends if all the ads for the game had a picture of Messi and Busquets. And,
or if every club not named Miami that plays Miami has a Messi package that includes Messi plus another game or two at a crazy amount.
Right.
And you're advertising Messi, and then all of a sudden you spend money, and then Messi's like,
right,
I'm not flying all the way to Vancouver from Miami for this game when I've got there's a good argument why he wasn't included. He's old, and he's gonna go play on artificial turf all the way across the fucking country when they got a midweek game as well against an actual conference team, which
unlikely.
Who cares about the West Coast when you're on the East Coast team at that point, right?
And I'm sure
any like a difference.
I am sure Vancouver covered their bases. Every ad probably had that very small fine print at the bottom that said, if Messi doesn't show up, your tickets aren't refundable. And every ad, every poster had that little tiny language at the bottom. So I'm sure they're not.
This was the conference. Yeah, they play Atlanta tomorrow. That's why. And again, I understand him not flying to Vancouver, playing on artificial turf over the weekend, then coming back and playing against Atlanta in a midweek game. I understand why he wasn't there.
If I'm an educated Vancouver fan, I'm looking at his schedule and I'm looking at the turf and I'm thinking he ain't coming. I ain't buying a ticket.
Yeah, and I made the argument over the weekend that, while not necessarily equivalent in the sense, because it's like going to see a band, buying tickets for a concert to see a band, and then they bail, and you're only left with the openers. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same. Is my point I'm making.
It really isn't the same, I don't think, because you're talking about a team and a player on the team. Now, if you
that's their argument against that point.
Hold up. Let me finish. If you sign up to go see Guns N' Roses and Slash doesn't show up because he's sick that night and they have a fill-in guitarist, that's still Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, but if they're advertising Guns N' Roses or if they're advertising Axl with Guns N' Roses.
No, Axl's there. Slash is there. The show goes on with Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
My point. Okay, your example makes a little more sense in that sense, but they're not advertising it as Slash. Buy your tickets to come see Slash. They're buying tickets to come see Messi. That's the whole point, and people are pissed about it.
No, I mean, listen, there are plenty of bands that even have new lead singers, right? And so, what's the band?
Queen.
Yeah, and if you know when you're going to Queen that. Obviously, Freddie's not going to be there. Same thing.
Dig his corpse up. Get him out there. What the fuck?
But in some cases, the lead singer isn't dead.
Yeah.
Don't stop believing. Like,
sure.
Steve Perry's not showing up, and everybody knows when they go. Now, in some cases, band members get sick.
But that doesn't work. Yes.
No, band members do get sick. And so, like, even for, this is hardly comparable because people were coming to see my band and, they were coming necessarily to see my guitarist, but he got sick 3 days and we had a replacement come in and play his guitar parts. He learned them over 3 days and was there. But nobody wanted their money back. And in this case, you're still going to the game to watch Inter Miami versus Vancouver. Those are the bands showing up to the show. And
to your argument, though, BMR, I think, ties the bow nicely to my point here, but they don't change lead singer after you buy the ticket.
Yeah, I mean, there have been rare times in rock and roll where a lead singer might go down And I've seen it before where they're like, does anybody in the crowd as a good singer know our songs? And they come up and perform. But yeah, you might ask your money back for that, maybe. And there are people asking money back because they're going to watch Bon Jovi and what's the other band? The Eagles lately. They're both being sued because they went to the show and it was lip synced. Right? That's not what. So we'll see how it works out.
Almost perfect timing there.
But there's, we'll see how the law works
Vancouver,
out.
Yeah, Vancouver's they don't have to refund if they don't want to. That's up to them how they want to do it. My argument here is
I think it's bad. It's bad.
It's bad. Yeah, it's not
it
good.
It looks bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Vancouver doesn't have to do shit at this point. Because and I've already closed it out. To hit the guy's point that we pulled up, you're going to see Vancouver play Miami.
Right.
Now it's just how it's advertised and the fucking price that they've bumped it up to.
Yep.
Like stupidly hiked prices, like 500 times the price, and people are paying that because they don't want to go and see Miami. They don't want to see Vancouver. They want to see Messi. So that's on the league, quite frankly. And they're gonna take their hit and they're gonna run with it. They're gonna come out ahead anyways. It won't matter. But you're gonna get fans like the guy in the video I got right here, where he's like, I traveled 1,200 miles to see Messi.
Where the fuck is he from?
Well, fuck, I know, dude.
That's a good long ways away from Vancouver.
Could have been anywhere in Canada, maybe. Maybe he just lives on the other side of Canada. But why not go to Toronto at that point, right?
He should have done a little research to figure out. I'm not defending Vancouver, but he should have done a little research to figure out, guess what? That's probably not going to happen. This is one of the games Messi's not coming to. True.
There should have been some research, but I think the league itself should have looked at this, and quite frankly, and they'll never do that by any means because they're gonna bilk everybody for as much money as they possibly
absolutely
can get. But,
yes.
But people like this who might in fact actually give MLS a chance at a future date got bamboozled, or what they feel is bamboozled at least. And I'd be surprised if he actually makes a trip to go watch another game. Mind you, 1,200 miles to go see a Vancouver game. Yeah, probably not going to be the case.
He's not really giving MLS a chance. He just wants to see Messi.
But you go there and see Messi. Again, this guy's a little bit different because he went 1,200 miles, and he's probably not going to go see Vancouver again by any means. But there are people who live in Kansas City Kansas City's back because I think Messi played there. But there may be people in that 56,000 tickets that they sold for that game against Messi that live in Vancouver that paid a crazy price that may not necessarily give Vancouver a chance again.
You're suckers. And that's why you and I aren't going to lose any sleep about this.
Oh, fuck no.
In the end, this is going to be Vancouver's nightmare to deal with fan-wise. And fuck them anyhow. They're a shitty club. And, if they want to screw over fans, that's on them. I'm not going to lose a fucking single night of sleep worrying about it. Not a minute.
It was funny because somebody did post that Vancouver is trying to make amends with some of the fans by offering them discounted food at the game. So what you're saying is I got to pay this crazy price to go to the game, and then I can pay a little bit more money to get crappy stadium food instead.
It's not the best solution, but listen, if their issue would be offering refunds to the whole crowd that showed up, that's a huge loss for them. So I don't know what the solution is. I think the smarter thing would be for Vancouver to have called the Miami owner along with Don Garber on the other line and said, listen, we don't want to screw anybody over. Is Messi going to be at this game? Because if he's not, and Don should have facilitated this conversation because we don't want to screw people over. And Miami would have had, with Don's facilitation, to be honest about it, because they knew this days ago. Days before this game, they knew Messi wasn't going. They knew all three of those guys weren't going, right? Because there was three of them didn't go, all the big guys. So, again, it comes down to the almighty dollar, and maybe Don Garber's not worried about that, and he's just going to set Vancouver free to make as much money as absolutely possible.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They're gonna take the PR hit and they're gonna move on because what's gonna happen is something else is gonna come up and people are gonna forget about this next week. Only a handful of people are really gonna remember this shit.
You gotta realize what you're dealing with too if you're a fan. This is MLS. They're here to make money. That's their number one goal. They're not here to be your friend. If you're a supporters group, if you're in Chicago, as a great example, we will do everything to destroy you, right? If you're a supporters group in Dallas, we will do everything to destroy you and annoy you. We won't make any concessions to you. We won't be your friends. We won't include you in any of the decision-making whatsoever. That's how this league works. So you got to go in with a grain of salt. And that poor kid you showed earlier, his dad should have said, son, have you done your research? Is Messi really going to be at this game? And then this guy overpaid for dinner. Holy crap.
Well, and somebody mentioned, I can't scroll because my scroll on my mouse is fucked, but it may be dinner across the board. Because again, $1,700 for a hotel is not a one-night stay. That sounds more like a 2-3 night, like an entire weekend stay. Maybe dinner includes all of meals or whatever for that stint.
Then he's ordering the lobster. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Maybe you have 3 dinners and you have to get lunch and breakfast. I mean, you have free breakfasts.
He said dinner.
Well, you run out of space. We can't add all the fine print there, Derek. He should just put food. He should have just put food.
He can't spell dinner.
He can't spell dinner.
Which is amazing because he can spell flight.
Yeah, well, so somebody, I think it was maybe Edgar who mentioned he was like $800 for dinner. And I go, well, he was kind of surprised by the 3 bottles of wine they consumed that night, how pricey they were.
He must be drinking some Cavassier too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's apparently a petition which isn't going to do shit out there, basically saying fair pricing and refunds for fans. So this petition's going around trying to get enough push that maybe Vancouver will refund the crazy markup price, which again will never happen. Petitions are worthless, guys. Guys, don't ever sign a petition. Don't ever start a petition on change.org. They don't do shit
for MLS.
For anything.
Yeah, some petitions.
I've seen Disney petitions to about the Star Wars Disney shit. And they get like $500,000 in a couple of days. It doesn't do shit. Disney looks at it and goes, yeah, okay, whatever.
Maybe it's a piling on thing. I don't know. Maybe it needs. I don't know. I mean, petitions used to work in the older days, but I'm old. All right.
Here's just some bad press real quick. Whitecaps fans ask for refunds. We just went over that. Messi no-show sees rival MLS teams offer free tickets, and a Miami boss apologizes. Miami boss apologizes.
All right.
They're being offered free tickets to another MLS game, and Miami's boss goes, "Hey, sorry, buddies.
I'm sorry.
Where is Messi? Soccer fans demand compensation." And Miami disappoints Whitecaps fans with missing stars and 2-1 victory. That's the worst part, right? Vancouver, you couldn't even beat Miami at that point without their stars. You can't throw a hissy fit. You made your own bet here.
Well, they suck. That's why.
Vancouver Whitecaps try to turn into a marketing win, basically offering free tickets. I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
Not for the kid who traveled 1,200 miles.
Good news, though. Messi is expected to join the Argentina national team camp on Monday.
Good news for Argentina, not good news for anybody else.
So, he'll be there against Atlanta on Wednesday, but then come Monday, joining up with the Argentina. So,
not shocking.
Sorry, Vancouver fans.
Not shocking. We've lost like 7 people watching during this segment.
All MLS fans, they're no loss. Right,
we're gonna cover that.
We don't talk about MLS, right?
We were gonna cover that for 20 seconds. That turned into like 10 minutes.
Well, we had a big rant as far as what we talked about music for about 15 of those minutes.
What? Oh, Don't Stop Believing.
All the concert talk, yeah.
Yeah, but those were just metaphors.
Let's move on.
Yes. Brian Schroeder says congratulations to American head coach Joe Enox, who we have talked about on this show for
once or twice at least.
Couple years now, when he was in 2 Bundesliga before. But now he has led a 3 Bundesliga team back to 2 Bundesliga, and that is Jan Regensburg. It's a successful promotion in 2 Bundesliga after today's promotional playoff win over Wehen Wiesbaden, a Petaluma, California native. Enox attended Sacramento State as a player. He had one
U.S. National team.
Yeah, because he wasn't that great of a player, and then he went over to Germany and played in the lower leagues, and then he became a player coach for one of the teams, and he did really well. And since then, he's been coaching in Germany, and successfully at some teams, sometimes unsuccessfully at others. It's going to be really hard for him to keep Jan Regensburg in 2 Bundesliga next season. That's a small team, so I wish him the best. But Joe Enox, another guy, to just I would keep an eye on him next season, see how he does, because he's going to be fighting an uphill battle. But you got Enox, you got Matarazzo, and of course the one nobody believes is actually an American world. Some people don't, Hertzler. So, all right, 3 guys to follow, just because they're probably all better than Greg. Because I'm
not sure about Enoch, but I don't know enough about him.
They all do more with less. I'll say that much. And Enox will certainly be tested next season to see if he can do more with less as well, because this is a big move for his team. Future 11B, Weah just went into ownership group with Brooklyn USL team. Yeah, that's nice. And I think that's counts as first division in the USL. Just like the Indy 11's USL team is also first division. So the USL's women's division was sanctioned by US Soccer as a Division 1. So they're actually competing against the other Division 1 team, the NWPL.
Responding to a person who super chatted us a topic that we're actually going to be bringing up here very shortly. So
okay,
I'm bringing it up. Don't worry. But yeah, so he's part of Weah's part of Brooklyn USL's team.
It's a very small investment. Trust me.
Sure. I mean, how much investment become a minority owner would it really take for you?
Not much.
Not a whole lot.
No.
In fact, I think the best thing that he could bring to that team, the USL side, is publicity.
Yeah.
Him being there, wearing the outfit, occasionally coming back to New York and donning it around. Yeah, that's going to do much more than the amount of money he can offer them.
The thing is, I don't think he was born in Brooklyn. I think he was born in. It wasn't the Bronx.
That was Queens. Timothy Weah?
Might be, but it's still in New York City, so don't give him too hard of a time for that. No.
Born in Brooklyn.
Oh, he was okay.
Yep, born in Brooklyn. Yep.
Good. All right. So I don't know why I saw criticisms of him for that earlier today. I guess people bitch about anything. So,
well, the people say that about us all the time too. We bitch about anything. I'm like,
yeah, but we're right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. We're always right. You're always wrong, and we're humble about it.
And when we are wrong, I eat crow live on the show, which has happened. By the way, I have eaten crow on this show.
Yeah.
All right. What do we? Where are we moving on to?
Just briefly, Tact mentioned the summer schedule for USMNT's national team, and it's a pretty busy summer as a whole across the board. We got our pre-Copa friendlies coming up. We got Copa.
Yep.
We got U20 World Cup qualifying going on during the same time that the Olympics are going on. So it's a pretty hefty summer of coverage and games to watch.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to get some more talking points, and can't wait to cover the Colombia and Brazil game and all of Copa and all that stuff. It'll be nice to have some actual, meat to talk about.
Well, I mean, the whole hilarious thing about this is that Tax X post here is going to get way more eyeballs and attention, and probably notify a lot of people that these games are coming up than U.S. Soccer will ever be able to do on their own. That's the funny thing. U.S. soccer is absolutely incapable of promoting themselves. So what TAC is doing right here is their job.
Yeah.
Jack Pineda for $5. Thank you, Jack. Did you guys see the new Bad Boys ad with Messi in it?
I should have brought this up. No, I have not seen that because I don't have cable and I don't see ads and stuff unless they're on YouTube.
No, they're on you. They're on X too.
Oh,
I did.
To it.
I watched it on YouTube. It's one where I hovered, right?
Sure.
And I didn't really push play, but I hovered for like a minute and a half. And I'm like, this is a 3-minute video? I don't got time for that. Like, I'm not into Bad Boys. I'm not into that movie. I'm glad that what's-his-face is back. And the comedian guy.
Martin?
Martin. I'm glad to see him back. I haven't seen his face since a commercial he did last year or earlier this year. But, good to see him back. I thought he disappeared off the landscape of movie making. So other than that, yeah, it looked a little silly. So I didn't click on it.
No.
And I didn't even get to the part where Messi shows up. Like I waited. I watched like a minute 20 of it. I'm like, well, where the fuck's Messi? Where is he? And after a minute 20, I'm like, well, still no Messi. I'm done. I got the other things to do.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. Will Smith.
But thanks, Jack. Appreciate that. Yeah, Will Smith is
a cook.
When you're like, when you start talking like, oh, it's good to see he's back there. And is he going to bring up Will Smith? Because I'd be more than happy with him not being in anything else at this point.
Will Smith still slapped a motherfucker live on air. I've lost a lot of respect for him doing that shit. I think a lot of us thought at the time it was a joke. It was part of some joke, but then, it was pretty clear as the show went on, or the footage I watched afterwards, that no, that wasn't a joke. He went up there and slapped a fucking comedian.
I just thought it was strange that everybody else came up to Will Smith and basically told him how strong he was afterwards. I'm like, dude, you just went up and assaulted a guy.
That's the sign of a man who's had to watch his wife fuck other men for way too long in public.
Your son's friends.
Just pissed. Just an angry man. An angry man who's been cucked. Yeah. All right. What else we got?
World Soccer Talk has an article out here. It talks about the American-owned soccer clubs in Europe. I wanted to scroll through it just to see, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know how many clubs out there have American owners, or at least majority owners or part owners.
A lot.
So just I'm not going. We don't really need to talk about any of the clubs, but we have AC Milan, Arsenal, Roma. I mean, Aston Villa, Atalanta,
Barnsley, Birmingham City.
I mean, it goes. The list goes on. We're in the B's.
Yeah, there are a lot. As I said, it's a lot. Crawley Town. I wonder what small investor that is. What? It's some LLC.
It's a cryptocurrency investor. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But then against League Two, how much did they really have to pay into that? I mean, I think Wrexham. I think with Ryan and one space and regardless, I think they had to pay like something like $2 million each or something like that.
Yeah.
Rob, there we go. But yeah, so I mean, how much did a cryptocurrency investor really have to invest to become a majority owner or the owner of Crawley Town? But
not much, probably.
Crystal Palace. I mean, basically, we own Serie A and EPL at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. And a bunch of lower division teams in England. Gillingham. Le Havre.
He's a French team.
Le Havre.
Yeah.
Lyon, Mallorca. That didn't help our buddy Hoppy out while he was there, did it?
Nope.
Did it, Stu?
Stu Holden. I was wondering if Stu was going to mention there.
Did it, Stu? Did it, Steve Kerr? Did it, Steve Nash? No, it didn't. Didn't help Hoppy out at all.
Come on, guys. Well, I mean, Steve Nash doesn't have anything to, help. He doesn't have to help out the U.S. Men's National League. In fact, it'd probably benefit him to not help us out. It's probably Steve that basically prevented Hoppy from playing at Mallorca.
Oh, Canada. Yep. All right. Yeah.
We really don't need to go down the rest of this list. But basically, my point being is that there's a lot of American money going into the European games because there's a lot of money to be made in the European games.
Yeah.
Here in MLS, you can make some money after you spend a fortune to get into it.
Yeah.
In the lower divisions, you're not going to make shit.
But there's no risk in MLS.
True.
Whereas you buy Plymouth Argyle, yeah, that's a risk. So, anyhow,
I guess it depends where and when you buy them and go from
that's
there. That's
true. I mean, it's like playing the stock market.
Just like you beat me to my point. You wait till the stock hits the bottom and then you buy out.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but yeah, no.
Right.
Again, it's just interesting. There's a lot. I mean, we talk about how there's how soccer's still a growing sport here in the U.S., but there's a lot of interest. Basically, my point, I guess, would be there's not a lot of interest in the sport itself. There's a lot of interest in making money.
Yeah,
if the soccer pyramid here in the States would actively make a lot of money, then there'd be a lot more investments and you'd see a lot more improvement. So,
yeah, I think most of those, and a lot of them you'll see are LLCs or investment groups. They're buying those teams to make money. A lot of them don't know dick squat about soccer. They just know it's a potential money maker. Julian Vivas for $4.99. Thank you, Julian. We do appreciate. Just arrived. Do you guys think Aronson will return to Union Berlin? Also, where will Gio end up? Yeah, we're getting to that, but we kind of talked about Aronson earlier.
Well, we can jump right into Brian's article, and this kind of lead into that, and then we can do the depth chart last.
I just want to answer his first question.
That's fine.
We already covered it, and yeah, he's not going back to Union Berlin because his after loan asking price was too high, and Union Berlin don't have that kind of spending money. So no, he's probably. I mean, he might go back on loan.
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask you.
But he's not going to be bought by Union Berlin. I don't think he'll be bought by a lot of teams because of the asking price. And we'll get to Gio in the end.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt that kind of leads right into Brian's article. We can go over that and then do the depth chart last. But I didn't want Julian to sit there waiting for a super chat to come up any longer. I wanted to make sure that he got his 2 cents in here.
Sure.
And we'll go over Gio here in a second. But yeah, we talked about Brendan earlier. But yeah. So let's pull it up. Let's take a look. You cannot read that because I can't read that on there.
All right.
So what's the plan with this article, Derek? Did you want to just scroll through and talk about the players? I mean, do you have key things you want to talk about each one, or?
Well, I mean, what we want to talk about mostly, I think, is where these players are going to be next year, if there is a question. In Chris Richards' case, for instance, there's just not. He'll be back at Crystal Palace. There's no doubt. I think he won himself a starting role there, and I think that's where he's going to stay. There's no interest from bigger clubs or anything like that, so he'll stay where he's at. Let's see if we can scroll down and find others.
Well, and he's diverse. His versatility. There we go. Not diverse. Versatility alone has proven worthwhile for Palace. So yeah, he's not going anywhere. Yeah,
right.
100% agree.
Nope, he'll be there.
Ooh, Robinson. This is a hot ticket, right?
Yeah, that is a question. There are going to be teams who are going to be hot for Robinson. I'm a Fulham lifer, so for me, I don't want him to go. But I do think there is a chance that Fulham will get offers, and I do think there's a chance they will consider them.
Yeah, I don't know if I was reading an older quote. I thought I read something recently on Twitter where Robinson talked about how he wants to stick it out at Fulham. Maybe that was before. Maybe that was the last time he re-signed up.
He may want to, but it's not up to him. And if somebody comes along and is willing to spend $20 million over his actual transfer market worth, Fulham are going to probably let him go because, they'll just go buy somebody else cheaper. And they are going to make a lot of money off of a player they developed for the most part, which is kind of what every team wants to do in the end. Now, I hope Fulham fight for him. I hope that their asking price is absurd. The question is, will somebody pay that absurd asking price that wants to make the leap next season?
Mhm.
It wouldn't shock me at all if a team like Chelsea tried to go pick up Anthony Robinson.
You remember last summer when the rumors were Man City,
Liverpool,
yeah,
Man United.
had a nice video of him and Pep being like on the Titanic, the king of the world.
Yeah, he wouldn't really fit in on a Pep team. He's not a tiki-taka guy. But, we heard those rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he stays. One guy that is leaving is Tim Ream. He's going. He'll probably play for a newly promoted team that needs the experience in the back four, that needs a father figure, almost a coach. I wouldn't be shocked if Ipswich picks him up.
Well, his market value is like 800,000 at this point.
He's totally affordable. Southampton, someone's going to pick him up in the lower end of the table. That would be my best guess. I don't think he's going to stay at Fulham. If you're Tim Ream, you've seen the writing on the wall.
Sure.
And there were even some games where one of the two guys that were starting every game was injured. Or no, he had a red card accumulation, and Ream still didn't start. So he's now back to fourth in the pecking order. I think the writing's on the wall. Tim Ream's he's going to go play for a newly promoted team and be sort of a team leader. He was the former captain of the Fulham team. So there are teams that value that, you would think. I don't think it'll be Leicester, but I think maybe Southampton or Ipswich might do it. Or, worst comes to worst, you go play for some team in the championship next season that's got a real shot of going up, that needs that kind of stability in the back.
Yeah, I guess the overall arching point here is that Tim Ream's not going to be most likely won't be at Fulham next season.
If Tim Ream were a tire, the air is slowly coming out. Let's just put it that way, right?
That's a good analogy there.
Or he's edging towards Dirk Diggler at the end of Boogie Nights, where he can't get it up anymore. It's going to happen. It's father time. Nothing you can do. Matt Turner, Matt Turner will be in the championship next season. If he's smart, he and his agent will work out some team in the championship. He's going to start for. Just please don't make it be Leeds.
We don't need any more Americans over there right now.
I mean,
the wound is just too fresh.
A lot of Leeds fans don't want Meslier anymore. Although I don't think there
was talk of Meslier being one of the players that might be on the move. There's a lot of posts about that.
Absolutely. Although I really don't think Meslier was the problem this season. But
I don't think Meslier was the problem the season prior either when they got relegated. I mean, he made some fumbles, don't get me wrong, but he definitely wasn't the problem.
Right. But I think Horvath has shown the example. Like, you can go play for a championship team at the level he's at. And I think Horvath and Turner are near the same level. I don't think they're that far apart, honestly. And so if Horvath can go and do what he did at Cardiff City this season and get regular minutes and start every game, then Turner can find something like that too. Now, Turner might get really stubborn and say, no, I'm going to fight it out. I'm a fighter. I'm going to stay here. I'll be the second string, but I'm going to fight my way back onto the starting lineup. I mean, good luck to you.
It's a very Stefan thing to do there.
Once you get the reputation of a goalkeeper that makes bad errors, bad decisions, kind of lost his mojo, it's kind of hard to stay in the Premier League at that point. It really is. So I think he'll be going somewhere else.
No, I think he from his standpoint, he needs playing time. From Forrest's standpoint, I guess it just depends on who. I mean, they bought 3 goalkeepers last season, and Turner happens to still be number 2 there.
Yeah.
Well, does Forrest want to offload Turner?
I think at this point he can demand to leave, and I think they don't have to let him go. But it's pretty obvious that he's not valued. It'd be a pretty shitty thing to force him to stay and be the number 2. But then again, I think it's more likely to be the other way around. I think that Turner might have the inclination to stay and fight. I think that's more likely and more of a problem. And that'll be on Turner's own decision-making at that point. But if he pushes to go and play for one of the newly promoted teams in the championship, or even a mid-table team that let a lot of goals go by last year because their goalkeeping wasn't up to par or up to snuff, I think that's more likely, honestly. I don't know if he's going to find another Premier League, not even the ones that were promoted. I don't know.
Jack was asking. He's like, maybe to Ipswich, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, at that point, yeah, you'd probably want. I mean, I feel like Championship would be the go-to at that point because you want to go down and you want to get consistent playing time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like
to
believe that Ipswich would want him, or Southampton, or even Leicester, but I don't think that's realistic. Reyna, oh boy.
His market value dropped down from 20 to 18 just recently. So he's on the decline, which is not what Dortmund wants by any means, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, they made it hard for him to find a team to be loaned to because of the fact they put a no-buy clause on him. And so teams are like, well, I've never heard of that. I mean, it happens on occasion, but it's not a normal thing. Most players that are loaned out have a buy clause. And they're like, no. And you're re-signing with us.
I think the no buy clause came when the buy clause was 20 million, and that was a hefty price tag to throw on a potential loan there. But
oh yeah, it's a big price. So I know. I mean, he could stick it out. It looks like Tursic might still be there next season, so he's going to have to, if he does decide to stay at Dortmund, going to have to win over Tursic. And he might, pull the tape, the video of him playing defense for 30 minutes against Fulham in the Premier League and say, see, I can play defense. I can play defense.
Sure.
So, yeah, that one's up in the air. I really think that he's probably just going to stay at Dortmund. I don't think any.
I feel like it'd be a hard sell for him to remain at Dortmund if Terzic's there. So,
well, the problem is, here's the problem: his value has dropped so dramatically that literally Dortmund are flushing toilets down the toilet. It would make more sense for them to actually getting him re-engaged, playing him a lot more next season, raising his value, and then sell him. And I think that's their plan. Because another loan to where? I mean, there are other options outside of Nottingham Forest or name what other, shitty Premier League team that's going to be under threat of relegation all season. I just think it'd be smarter for Dortmund if they want to actually make their money back and raise his value. Play him as much as possible next season. Raise his value back up to where it was, or I mean, he's never going to get back up to the
40 it was before injury.
Yeah, but you could get it in the 30s at least maybe if you play him enough and he scores goals and gets.
There's no chance of hitting that market value while with Dortmund. But if he's at Dortmund and he has a solid season next season, let's just say, and then they go to sell him, maybe they get 30 off of him, and then he goes to another club, and then it can continue to increase at that point. He could get back to 40 at some point. But obviously it requires playing time. And it's not going to happen in the 1 year at Dortmund, put it that way.
Well, here's the thought process. If you're Dortmund and the board and the people running the club. You're like, at one point, this kid was worth 40 mil, and now we've devalued him to the point that he's worth what, 14 now? What did you just say?
18.
18. Yeah, that's a massive shrinkage. So the idea is we re-sign him, and next season we play him, and we get his value back up so we can sell him for something, because they're getting nothing for him if they just outright sell him again. And then if they loan him again, depending on who he's loaned to, is there going to be a no-buy clause again? I mean, this is ridiculous. So I don't know. It's hard to make sense of what Dortmund's doing, because they forced him, in order to get this loan, to re-sign another new deal. I mean, you don't do that unless you have some sort of plan in mind. Otherwise, just sell him. Why didn't you just sell him then? Well, because you probably weren't getting, the 20 mil you wanted, right?
Yeah,
no one was going to buy him for 20 mil.
It's the same reason why Leeds isn't offloading Aaronson. I mean, who's going to pay 12 million for Aaronson? Nobody. So at this point, they're going to either loan him out or hope to God that somebody does want to pony up the 12 mil for him. It's never going to happen. So
It's slightly different. I mean,
well, my point is, why don't you just sell them? Because you're not going to get the value you expect or wanted. Is what I'm saying.
But then you're taking a huge loss. That's a huge loss. I think in the case of Aronson, he's not going to be welcome back, number one.
Sure.
Whereas Reyna will go back to Dortmund. He'll be welcome back. There's no hard feelings there. So he doesn't have to deal with that headache. And he can start on your team if you really give him the chance. He can start. You just got to give him chances. You got to find a way to work him into the roster. And he doesn't have to start. Maybe he plays 30 minutes every game, 20 minutes.
Well,
Aronson, if you're Leeds, you're like, A, everybody hates this guy. And B, we got to loan him back out because there's no way anybody will pay the price. So that makes sense why that'd be another loan. I don't know if that's the case with Reyna. I think Dortmund have a plan, whereas I think Leeds, in their situation, a league down, are in a more desperate situation. I don't know. They might even consider keeping him on.
You've added context to a point that I didn't make. Your point was, why doesn't Dortmund just sell him? Well, they're not gonna make the money they expect to or want to with Reyna if they just sell him now. The same thing. Why doesn't Leeds just sell Aronson? They don't want him. Why don't they just sell him? They're not going to make the money that they want to. And I know that they're going to lose in the books from purchasing for 25 million and selling for 8 million. Obviously, you're going to be losing a shit ton of money. Whereas with Reyna, you brought him over as a youth. They're not necessarily beholden by some arbitrary value that you paid. And any sell would be a positive.
No,
my point being is both teams would be losing money if they sold him right now.
But based on, my point was, it's not just an argument against, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying in general that they're in different situations, and those different situations mean different things. I think Dortmund still believes in Reyna. I don't think Leeds believes in Aronson at all. They know they fucked up. They know they overspent, and they know they're screwed, and they're probably never going to get their money back.
Yeah.
In Dortmund, I think there's still a belief at the board level and at the sporting director level that this kid is super talented. And if we can just get him back into the starting lineup or play him enough, we can build his value back up. There's no building Aronson's value back up at Leeds. That's done. I don't care how good Aaronson does in the championship next season. He's not going to be building his value back up that much. But you put Reyna back in Dortmund and they win the league, and he's played a major role in that, and he's scoring goals like he did a couple seasons ago, then his value goes back up. So I guess that's my point. It's not versus what you're saying. It's just my belief of what I think they're doing.
I agree. I agree that they're in different situations, and I agree with everything you just said there. My only point being is why they're similar in that sense is that both teams would be losing money where they're expected. If they're aiming to sell Gio at 20 million, but they're not going to be able to sell him at 20 million right now, they're going to lose that money. So maybe they want to try to boost up his value, like you're saying. 100% agree. Aronson, they're wanting 12 million. They're never going to get 12 million, and they are going to lose money regardless. But how much they lose?
Yeah. I mean, only thing I would add is certainly the loss for Leeds is going to hurt a lot more if they don't get promoted next season. All the money they spent on Aaronson is going to hurt Leeds going down, or not going down, but losing all their parachute payments and having to sell off next season if they don't get promoted. That's going to be extremely painful. And they could be looking at a long, number of years stuck in the championship or worse. Whereas I think Dortmund is a pretty secure team. It would hurt them to lose Reyna, but I think they're willing to give it another shot to rebuild the value and do what they do best at Dortmund, build up young players and sell them, right? So I think the board and I think the sporting director, and we knew the board had a real issue with Terzic already. Yeah. Earlier in the season, they were like, you're fucking this up. You're devaluing players, our younger players. You're not playing our young guys. What the fuck are you doing?
They've actually had to sell a number of young players because of playing time.
Yep.
And that was the talking point throughout the entire season was that under Terzic, the average player's age starting bumped up like 2 years from the previous year, something like that.
That was one of the older Dortmund teams we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's on average age per game.
Yep.
And I mean, you'd say, well, bumping up 2 years isn't that much. Yeah, it is. For Dortmund, it is.
Yeah.
They are a youth developing factory. That's what they do. They develop the Pulisic's and then they sell them on. And in this case, so far at the beginning, it looked great. Reyna they're like, damn, 40 mil. Holy crap, we're killing it. And they have other young players too this season that didn't play that much that the board was pissed about. But again, I guess in the end, Terzic just wanted to win games, which he didn't in the Bundesliga, but he did in the Champions League. So we'll see how that works out in that big game versus Real Madrid, which they'll probably lose more than likely. So Austin Trusty, he'll just stay at Sheffield United and Championship.
Where's he going to go? Yeah, no,
he's not going anywhere.
It was a good season. It was a good season for him in the sense that he went from not playing, or he went from playing in a Champions League or Championships team on loan to getting sold to an EPL side that played him. He's actually played
a Premier League side.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great point. Yeah. I guess I had those air quotes in there.
Yeah, because it's not like they did a lot of spending going up. They didn't.
No. But I mean, it was a good year for him in the sense that he got a lot of experience in the Premier League.
I really expect Sheffield United to pop right back up next season. I really do.
They're going to have Norwich and Leeds nipping at their heels.
I don't think Norwich is going to be nipping at their.
It'd be interesting to see what happens because they're going to lose a couple players too.
Well, and their parachute payments are done. They're done. They got no more Premier League parachute payments. They've gone through all three: the 40, the 30, and the 15. They're fucked. In fact, that is why it is more than likely that Josh Sargent is moving on. And so is Sainz, by the way, who outside of Sargent was the other best player at Norwich this season. They're both gone. He's Brazilian, I believe, Sainz.
Sure, yeah.
Paxton Aronson, meanwhile, so Paxton Aronson will go back to Eintracht Frankfurt and just go battle for a spot. And I think he showed some maturity at Vitesse by becoming a leader on that team. And hopefully he could translate that maturity to not being a passenger. Because let's be frank, Frankfurt gave him plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Plenty. And he was merely a passenger along for the ride on that team. So he'll have to go back to Frankfurt, take that experience from being at Vitesse, and hopefully he's matured and kind of taken it to a next level and understands that he can be a leader on a team. Now, he's not going to be the leader of Frankfurt, but he can become, more secure in his own value to the team. Hopefully, that's maturity as well, and hopefully take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler,
Chandler's his clock is, ticking.
It is ticking. His age, Mother Nature.
And Brooks obviously is a free agent, so he's definitely going somewhere.
You could see Frankfurt at a 2 Bundesliga team next season, or a newly promoted team. There's no evidence that Frankfurt values him other than a second or third string. So,
Wait, who are you talking about? You talking about
Chandler?
Okay.
Chandler. Now, Chandler's been at Frankfurt for so long. He's almost like an institution. And he's one of the locker room favorites. He's a clownster. He's a joker. He plays practical jokes. He's great there. They love him. But I think it's probably time that Frankfurt are thinking, we got to move on. And I think Chandler might be thinking the same thing because he's not getting any chances to play. And then Brooks has obviously already been reported he's leaving. He could end up at anywhere from Union Berlin to a newly promoted team in the Bundesliga to a lower table team. He could end up in fucking Heidenheim for all we know. Really, honestly. Although
he doesn't necessarily even have to stay at in the Bundesliga by that point, but
what's he got? Hopefully he doesn't go back to Portugal.
Yeah.
That was a disaster.
That definitely didn't work out.
And it's really weird because, I mean, he had some really great games this season. Then he had some stinkers. And then by the end of the season, Matarazzo had kind of picked younger guys to play in the back three of his back three. And Brooks wasn't one of them. So, yeah, he didn't have a great season. It wasn't a horrible season. It was kind of somewhere in the average, you know. Like I said, had some great games, but had stinkers too. The stinkers hurt when you're his age and you're trying to hold on to the starting spot. And there's a bunch of young center backs coming up through that system at Hoffenheim. So, yeah, I wouldn't. If he ended up at St. Pauli, that'd be crazy. But it's not unbelievable.
I guess it depends on his salary, right? At that point.
Yeah, because he's always been a big stickler on his salary, although he did take a cut and to go back to Germany and play at Hoffenheim.
Sure. Well, you have to when nobody else wants you at that price.
It's kind of like, yeah, Wolfsburg was right. I should have took a pay cut and just stayed at Wolfsburg. It'd be funny if he ends up back at Wolfsburg. Wouldn't be insane. Leonard Maloney, because their defense sucked this season, Wolfsburg. And Wolfsburg in general, that was a poor season for a team that's, in general, from years on end, been a very competitive team in the Bundesliga. Leonard Maloney's not going anywhere. He's fucking heart and soul of Heidenheim. He's proven that. He hasn't proven it to Greg, but he certainly proved it to the manager of Heidenheim. And they overperformed based on early predictions by just about everybody and their grandma.
Well, yeah, they're gonna get relegated again. Was the prediction? No, and all of a sudden they end the season off like 8th or 9th or whatever it was.
The number of people that picked them to finish last before the season even started is numerous and long in the German media. They were the pick to go down and finish last, and good for Maloney. I really hope that Greg figures out a way to use a guy like that. As you mentioned, sometimes even as a center back, fuck it.
A true destroyer, a backup to Adams at this point, right? Who can also play center back, another spot that we're iffy on.
Yep. And I mean, the only real like for Adams, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Johnny is a good defender. He's not a destroyer. He's a 6/8. He could even play 10 in a pinch, Johnny. That's how talented Johnny is. But he's not a lane destroyer. He's not a lane killer. He's not a person destroyer. He's not a physical beast like Maloney is actually a bigger physical beast than Adams is even. But, you know, you got to find value in that if you're Greg or you don't, I guess, in Greg's case.
BMR, I forgive you. I appreciate the apology.
Yeah. And Johnny keeps saying like for like. Yes. Like for like. Adams is a destroyer, and so is Maloney. They're both destroyers.
Johnny is not a number one Adams fan. He's not the number one fan for Adams.
It doesn't matter what we think or Johnny thinks. It's what does Greg think. Greg loves Adams because he's a destroyer. Greg may be wrong, okay, about Maloney and Adams for all I know. But he does tend to play that back four protector, destroyer, lane killer role. And that's just a fact. And as long as we're stuck with Greg, we're not going to feed you Disneyland bullshit on this show. Period. We're just not going to do it.
You know, I just realized that Brian didn't bring up Adams at Bournemouth. I mean, I know he didn't have much of a season, but he talked about everybody besides Adams. No, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Kevin Paredes. I like what he starts out with, a little inconsistent, because that's what it was. Because at the beginning of the season, he had some great games. And then as the season went on, he had some like passenger games where he was just a passenger.
I'm here.
And I watched the games and I'm like, Paredes just not showing up for the game or not really involved in the game in any way. And then he got benched for a little while, and then he came back, and then he scored on the season closer. That was nice. A nice way to finish. But there was a lot of growth this season. I went from like 500 minutes to, into the thousands. That's just good news for us. Let's hope he continues to develop. I'm a little concerned about
tripled it. Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about his size sometimes, but if he can find that center of balance and not get pushed around too much, and then he can play left back, left winger, left wing back. So we'll also see where Wolfsburg end up settling. So with him positionally, and then maybe he has got a chance to fight to be the real backup to Anthony Robinson and not Christopher Lund, who's going to be stuck in the second division in Italy again next year, which isn't going to give us a really good idea of his development. I mean, the only thing we're going to have to go by is when Greg calls him up and he gets those, odd minutes for the U.S. men's national team. So, I mean, and there's not a whole lot of Palermo games on ESPN Plus. You get like two a season. That's the only time I've watched him twice this season. That's it. And in one of them, he was pulled off in the 60 whatever, and the other one, he was really not really involved in the game. Joe Scally's going to stay where he's at, Gladbach, although he might want to start thinking because he had a rough season. They played him all over the place. They played him at left back. They played him at right back. They played him at left wing back. They played him at right wing back. They played him at right center back. I mean, they played him everywhere.
Well, hopefully Gladbach figure out that defense and you can get some level of stability. Even if there are times where he's off the bench, keeping some stability is going to be massive, more so than constantly being shifted all over that defense. Because you start, you're a right back, and you get thrown at right center back in a 3-back line. You look like crap. People are just going to remember, oh, he looked like crap.
I mean, he never really looked like total crap. He had mistakes during the season.
Bit of an exaggeration on my part.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really look like anybody that was going to do anything but his job. There was no overachieving for Joe Scally throughout the season in most of the games. And when I say overachieving, I mean like you see a player growing into becoming a better player. Is this Scally's ceiling? I don't know. It could be. He might get wiser as a player, but I don't know. I
guess from my standpoint, that's a pretty nice ceiling. Being a serviceable back for a mid-table Bundesliga team.
Yeah.
We could do worse.
Right.
In fact, we are going to do worse in Copa with our potential right backup player.
Yeah, and I'm just predicting this now. Scally is not starting in the Copa America at right back. I think Greg will do and find in the two friendlies, he will find someone else, whether it be Musa or Weah. He'll find somebody else because Greg has no faith in Joe Scally. He has proven that at the World Cup. He proved it when he yanked him at halftime recently, even though that goal was not his fault, all his fault. So I don't think Greg's a big fan.
I think it's really, I think that's probably his thought process right now, and it's really going to depend on how well Scally performs in the pre-friendlies.
Yeah, and he might get a start in the friendlies.
I think he will get a start in the friendlies, absolutely.
But, I mean, if you're betting on it and they're playing Colombia and Brazil, I don't think he's going to do well. I think that's going to be rough going in both.
Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to experience that regardless. I mean, you're not going to play all CONCACAF teams all the time. You're going to have to play these teams, and you're going to have to show up.
I'm just saying it's not going to go well for Scally. I don't think this is a prediction. I'm not Nostradamus, but I think if it even goes wrong in small ways, Berhalter will use that as a justification to yank Scally off at halftime or whenever and replace him with Musa or Weah or somebody. He'll try something else. And if he even gets a whiff that might be better going into Copa, he'll do it. Because I'm just saying, Greg Berhalter is not a fan of Joe Scally. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. All right.
I'm looking at some of the chat. Scally's look extremely nervy with the national team, and your comment says, "Well, we're playing Brazil and Colombia. It's not going to be good." Again, these are things that Scally's going to have to get over, or he's going to get forgotten about. Plain and simple. Because if we go into Copa and Scally is getting replaced by like Musa or McKennie or Way at that point, then why would Greg ever bring Scally again when Dest is back? At that point, why even bother?
Yeah.
So it's not whether or not it'll be rough or whatever. He's got to get over that fact, and he's got to come out and he's got to play, and he's got to not look so nervy, and he's got to not fuck up. So
Yep. Jordan Pifak, who knows where he's going to end up next season? Because I don't think Union Berlin valued him after what he did at the beginning of last season. And they've sold off all of the guys that helped them do what they did in their amazing surprise season a couple seasons ago. They sold off a bunch of those guys. Just let them go. The guys that got you there, you just got rid of them all, Union Berlin. So I don't know who's making decisions there, but I think he'll end up somewhere in the Bundesliga. You know, he's the kind of player that brings a dimension in the box with his height and hold-up play that a lot of players, if you're talking about like newly promoted teams, I'm sure will be looking at him. There's no doubt they will be. So, but he'll be back.
See him back at Ligue 1, perhaps?
Nah, I don't. I think he's established in the Bundesliga that he can score goals if he can stay healthy. That's his other issue, by the way.
Yeah.
His problem is staying healthy. So I think there's probably going to be a Bundesliga team willing to take a risk on him because there are plenty of teams at the bottom after the end of the season that had trouble scoring goals but survived, you know. And then, again, because he brings that physicality, the height, a nose for goal inside the box, he's going to get another shot in the Bundesliga. I mean, if he goes back to France, I wouldn't be shocked either, but not going to be at Union Berlin, I don't think. And obviously Gladbach already said goodbye. So there's that.
Yeah.
I recall.
Yep. Sorry. We've already talked about John Brooks. We've talked about Timmy Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Downs.
So he's been relegated with Kern. He doesn't have any other deals already set up going forward, does he? I don't think so. So he'll just stay at Kern.
Yeah.
Or Cologne, if you're American or English. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. We'll all keep an eye on him.
What? Outside of, he made it 171 minutes in the season. I mean, what are the odds that anybody's going to be interested at this point?
Yeah.
He needs to get playing time.
Unless he's some scout from some team picked him out. He's probably just going to go down and play more minutes. He started
Yeah.
playing more minutes as the season went on, so we'll see. Joel Imasuan, who we brought up on the show before, he made one cameo with Werder Bremen, as it says here, which we pointed out on our show a few weeks ago. He'll probably stay and just push, as this says, for more minutes off the bench. Yeah, that's about right. And then Matarazzo, he's not a player, but I mean, what after he did with Hoffenheim, he's going to be staying at Hoffenheim. Like, I don't think there are any big job openings right now. I mean, he's not going to Bayern.
Yeah, I don't see Hoffenheim necessarily. I mean, getting more out of somebody else at this point. So why not just write it out?
John said, I thought it was Cal Logny for Cologne, which is in Germany, it's Köln. So there you go. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Pulisic's going to stay where he's at. No need to even argue that.
But there's the concern, Derek, about the new coach.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Tuchel, fuck us all in the ears.
No.
Get ready for nostril sex. I mean, that's all I got to say if that happens, and I hope it doesn't. I really do.
It's going to be cruel. Cruel, I tell you.
I'm kind of on the anybody but Tuchel bus. So please, anybody but Tuchel. That's all I'm saying.
There's not much to talk about this season. Obviously, we've talked about it all year. It's been great.
Yeah. Musa will also stay and develop. I think he got a lot more minutes than most of us thought he was going to get, and a lot more appearances than we thought he was going to get when he went there. So I'm guessing he'll just stay and keep fighting and keep growing, hopefully, especially his final third. Like, that's where his weakness is.
Yep.
He's really good at carrying the ball forward, not really good at getting a whole lot of. I think he got 2 assists all season long, all competitions. Yeah, he could do better.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is one of those things where, like, you got 2,200 minutes at AC Milan, who finished second in Serie A at this point.
Yeah.
You could do worse with your career.
No, you could.
So I'm just saying that it's not a bad thing for him to stay there, obviously, and fight. And I know people are like, oh, maybe he needs to get loaned out and be a consistent player somewhere. No, why?
It's not an emergency situation,
Yeah.
and it seems like they're invested in him as a player. Now, again, you bring Tuchel in, who knows, right? You really don't know. But I think that the problem with Musa right now is he has shown some very vulnerable parts of his game that are not developing and are not getting better. And you would think the amount of minutes he played this season in the positions that he played, on accident, he should have 4 assists at least. Or on accident, he should have 3 goals.
Well, there are times where he should have had goals, and whether or not it was a good save or just a flub to the side or whatever. Yeah. If I was AC Milan at this point, I'd be looking at Tuchel and going, we have 3 former Chelsea players on our team right now who left Chelsea after Tuchel was there. Why would we possibly bring him back?
One of them just left.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, so we're down to 2, I believe, now.
Still.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all depends who they pick as manager. But right now, there's no panic mode to getting for Musa to move. The only thing that we're all concerned about as fans of the U.S. men's national team is he didn't show any growth in the final third. He's not a guy that's going to rip a whole lot of great through passes to the 9. He's not going to make any magnificent crosses into the box that lead to headers and on goal. And yeah, the rest of it, he's still good at carrying the ball. He's pretty competent as a player in general. He's not going to get stripped a bunch of times in the game. He's got a good sense of when to get rid of the ball when he's pressed. But what he's just not good at is once he gets into the offensive end, he's just, I mean, I hate saying this word, but mostly useless.
So I wonder if with his deficiencies in the final third, I wonder if of the overall arcing plan, we saw a couple times where he got played there, is getting pushed back to a right back. And bringing the ball up, and not necessarily because not every player has to make that final pass into the 9 or make those nice crosses. There's a lot of play and build up that occurs, and having a very serviceable player in your midfield or at a right back that can move the ball up the pitch and get it to players in more advanced roles is going to be a healthy chunk of players.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you don't have to do the dirty work, right?
Yeah.
In the offensive third, if you're Musa and playing right back, which he did twice this season for AC Milan. You just get the ball up the field and you get it to the winger, or you get it to a midfielder who does the artistic work in that final third. But one thing he can do is blow by a guy completely out wide and just dribble right by him and carry the ball like it's glued to his foot 30 yards up the field, and nobody can take it off him. So if you're Greg, you're probably looking at that and going, well, that's at least half of what Dest gives me. And is he just as good at defense as Dest? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think he's a liability as a defender. I mean, he did get burned at right back this season at least twice, but he hasn't played there a whole lot. They threw him out there sort of as an emergency right back. But the one thing he's not going to give you that Dest does is that final third pass, that move that leads to an amazing goal, because Dest has shown us he can do that too from out wide for the U.S. men's national team. Didn't do a whole lot this season for PSV, but on the attack, he was vital, provide number of assists. And, you know, I mean, if Musa could get some assists built into his game, you know, and we could know he would be just as reliable as Dest on defense, you know, that's almost like for like, you know, because he can carry the ball like Dest does, like it's glued to his foot, you know. So that way they're similar. And that's why I do think Greg's going to try that. He's going to try it. I guarantee it.
Sure.
Weston McKennie, great season. Didn't start 2 of the last 3 games.
Yep.
Got to wonder what's going on there. I think that's because
I think it's all contract
politics and contract. Yeah. Yep. So we'll see where he ends up. It could be anywhere, but it probably won't be the Premier League. I know people still think, oh, he got Premier League, but no, his Premier League experience was so poor. And we all, as fans of McKennie, understand the context of that because we watched all those Leeds games and we watched him play without Adams and being asked to do what Adams does in a double pivot. That's not his bag of chocolate, right? That's not his box of chocolate, I should say.
I was going to say.
Yeah, so that's probably an unfair, evaluation of his time in the Premier League. But if you're a Premier League team, you're looking at that and you're going, yeah, that didn't work out very well with Leeds. So I don't think we're going to go after him.
Well,
so
I would hope that maybe the coaching staff and the scouts from these Premier teams could throw in context there and realize what happened. Oh yeah, X, Y, and Z. It was a bad Leeds team. X, Y, and all the other. I'm not taking everything away from Weston. There was definitely games where he was just flat out poor. I think there are games where he was perfectly fine, but the team were poor and it looked that way. But obviously with the EPL fans, they're going to look at it and go, oh, wow, what the fuck are we spending $25 million on this guy?
He came in chunky.
Yeah.
And then he went back to in the offseason before Juventus and he lost like 10 pounds. Mm-hmm. That's going to make you look bad in Leeds. And I'm not saying that there aren't smart scouts in the Premier League who are going to be like, well, I'm going to disregard all that because I just watched him play at Juventus. But then you got to deal with a lot of crap in England going back there that you don't have to deal with in Germany, where he could go as well. And you don't have to deal with in another Italian team if he goes to another one like Roma or whatever. You don't have to deal with that bias immediately. Oh, Christ. He was horrible at Leeds. We signed this guy. He was fucking trash at Leeds. And then we signed him, because that's what you're going to get. Honestly, that is what you're going to get. Yeah, I wish he would stay at Juve, and I hope they work it out. But based on the fact that he didn't play in 2 of the last 3 games, or he didn't start, and didn't even play the last one at all, makes me think that those negotiations are going poorly. They're going poorly.
From what I've heard, it's rumors and Twitter garbo, and from some people who know, is that he wants to stay at Juve.
Yep.
But he wants to get to his money.
Doesn't his girlfriend live there?
Well,
his AI created girlfriend.
I don't know if she necessarily lives in Turin.
I think she does.
Her
she lives in Italy.
She lives in Italy. Her brother plays with Inter, so Milan. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, she might stay there and then go back to Milan. I don't know, but he wants to stay. He wants to stay in a Juve. He also wants to get paid the right amount. I mean, quite frankly, he had 11 assists this season.
Yes, and a lot of players on the bench make way more than he does.
Yeah. To your point, though, the reason why he may not necessarily have played 2 out of the last 3 games is maybe at that point negotiations aren't working out very well. Nope. And they don't want to take a chance because they're not dropping in they're not dropping in the overall table. So why take the chance of getting him injured
if you're going to if you're going to send him somewhere else? Yeah.
So you don't play him. So this would lead me to think that they're getting some interest from teams. They're negotiating at that point, and going from there.
Yeah,
but, from what I hear Chiesa's likely getting some interest in Europe, so they're going to get a pretty penny from him. They may not necessarily have to rely on Weston.
When you say Europe, you mean England?
I meant to say England. Did I say Europe?
Okay,
I meant England.
yes,
Sorry.
Okay.
I meant to say England. In my mind, I said England.
I'm like, Europe, that's a big fucking place.
He's getting some interest in Latvia, right?
Yeah, Latvia.
But they're gonna be asking his market value, and his market value right now is something along the lines of like 25 mil.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
for a lot of teams, you got to be one of the big boy teams to be pumping out 25 mil for a player, and then you really have to believe in that player. And the question is, who out there has 25 million laying around and is willing to pay that and his salary, right?
Yeah.
So that's like half the Premier League teams could do that. Question is, which one would do it? Not a lot of Italian teams are ready to pump out that kind of money. And then you got to ask yourself what German teams could afford that. And it's only like a handful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what the game they're playing is, all right, you want that much money? Good luck. Go find it somewhere else. Let's see if you can even get near what we're offering you. Let's see if you can get close to it. And then hopefully his agent doesn't come out and have to say, yeah, we looked around and you're right. So, yeah, we'll just take the deal you offered us earlier. And then they're going to stick it to him. They're going to be like, well, fuck you. We've even, made the deal smaller because you fucked around with us for so long. We're coming back with even a smaller deal than the big one that we offered you before, which you didn't think was very big. And that's how these games are played, Brett. I'm just telling you.
Well, sure, you can tell me all you want. I agree with you. You make it sound like I was like saying like, oh, Derek, maybe he'll get more if they goes and does this. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you, Brett. I'm like, of course.
Well, I'm actually telling the people listening.
Oh,
they probably weren't born yesterday either. All right, so what else we got?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's the salary that's the big sticking point for other teams. I think it's the market. I think it's the transfer value.
Yes,
that's the sticking point.
It is. It's too much.
Yeah,
for most teams.
I'm not saying that he's not worth the 25 mil transfer. I'm just saying there's not a lot of teams out there willing to pay for him for 25 mil.
Not right now. No.
So,
he's
not going anywhere.
He's going to stay.
Yeah. The only reason they're going to offload him if they want to offload his salary at the point.
Well, they want to loan him, but I don't really know. Well, yeah, that's another case where you're like, who's the new manager, right?
Yeah.
Who's the new manager? Does the new manager value where and what he can bring to the team? And it seemed like he got more and more playing time as the season went on. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But right now, I think he's staying. So
it's also because I think Cambiasso is playing various other positions as well throughout the end of the season. So he's playing up higher. He was playing on the wing. He was covering for West in the middle sometimes. So, but yeah, I agree. He's starting to get more and more time as the season progressed there.
Right. Oh, boy. Luca De La Torre looks to have been kind of the new manager because he was a favorite of the old manager. New manager comes in. He gets the injury, comes back, comes off the bench. Last game of the season doesn't even play. I don't know. I think he'll stay, but he might have to do some more fighting and brawling to get his spot back next season with the new manager.
Yeah, I mean, unless another lower side in La Liga comes a knocking for him, but
doubt it.
I don't see him going anywhere. Yeah,
they're pretty low as it gets.
Yeah,
without getting relegated already.
Don't need to talk too much about it. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yep. Johnny's staying. He just got there. They're not going to.
Oh, there's a lot of rumors.
They're not going to sell him that fast. That's crazy.
Would have to be a hefty turnaround as far as how much money.
I mean, that would be a remarkable. Yes.
Half a season in the Liga, and all of a sudden you're selling him off for like 3-4 times more.
And he played well.
Crazy.
But did he play like Manchester City well or Man United well or no?
I think other La Liga and Bundesliga, I think, were the two locations that were really.
Did he play Real Madrid well? No. Did he play Barcelona well? No. He played well. He played really well, better than I think anybody thought he would play going into a brand new league. But I don't think they're going to sell him unless some ridiculous offer is made. Then they just have to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Balogun going to stay.
Sure.
And with Ben Yedder's retirement, or not retirement, leaving the team, he should get more opportunities next season.
Yeah, not only that, he's not going to go anywhere because nobody's going to fork over a $30 million transfer for him at this point.
Is that what he's at now?
I believe so. We'll take a look at some of the market values here after this.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is Embolo is back, but I think, we saw throughout the season that they were willing to play him not only as one of the two center forwards, but even out wide on some occasions, and I think he'll play. I didn't think he was so rotten that they ever gave up on him at Monaco. They never did give up on him. They kept playing him. He just stopped starting regularly. And, he'll go back. Sabi, for him, we thought Sabi's career was pretty much done and burnt.
Yeah.
And then he had a pretty decent season at Le Havre, and we'll see what happens from here. Got to monitor that as next season starts, but if he keeps doing it, then he's going to have to be noticed at some point.
But I guess as far as next season's concerned, he's not going anywhere. I'd be shocked if he went somewhere.
Mm-hmm. He's not. He'll be there again. All right, Dest.
We already talked about Dest earlier.
Yep. We'll go past that.
He's out for next season. So
injured. Malik Tillman, he's already been signed, so he's staying at PSV and apparently fucking one of the executives. The marketing executive, I think it was. Yeah. Pepe could do for a loan if he can get one, because I think it's just going to be a repeat of this season next season with Bosch.
Maybe he needs to go in hard on a tackle on De Jong. No, don't do that. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I don't wish injury upon anybody, but
hey, Timmy Chandler
to get in there.
Timmy Chandler did it to Gonzalez. So yeah, I mean, you don't play the same positions, but Pepe, as long as De Jong's there, he might as well just go out on loan. Hey, go ahead Eagles. That's what I suggest. Go ahead Eagles. That's why not. Ledesma, yeah. Oh boy. What a rough
Stick
one.
out of PSV as long as you can, man.
I guess if you're getting paid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets loaned out to another Dutch team. But apparently the best deal he could get last time on loan was to MLS. That doesn't bode well.
Well, his loan to MLS for the New York City came after his extremely long injury spell, so that made sense. Now, as far as going back to PSV after the loan stint ended, and if his only options really at that point are going back to MLS, then no, yeah, that doesn't bode well at all.
Well, the way it worked is he got healthy. PFC's like, go play with our 2 team, and then they loaned them out. And then when he came back, they played him at the 2 team once, I think. And then they brought him back to the big boy team, and then he played 1 game for a few minutes at the very end.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't bode well for him. But, you know, if Taylor Booth can go have a great season at Utrecht, not saying they're the same player, why doesn't Ledesma take a loan and try something like that out before he gives up completely and goes back to MLS, where he didn't do all that well either?
Oh, that's what I was saying. Stick it at PSV as long as you can. But if he can get a loan out to a bottom feeder going to get relegated Dutch side, might as well go for it. Why not?
I'm not saying he needs to drop down to Den Bosch or anything, but
all right. As long as you get playing time, man, that's all he needs right now.
We already talked about Paxson, so we're done with that one. Taylor Booth needs to stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
If he doesn't stay healthy, he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay at Utrecht, but he's not moving on to something better and bigger because people look at his injury history and go, I ain't touching that. You show me you can play for a full season without getting injured.
Prior to the beginning of his injuries, there were talks because he was having such a great season. There was talks of him moving up within Holland, I think it was.
Yep.
And we were like, well, geez, he just fucking started at Utrecht.
Yeah.
And then he got injured, came back, started playing well again, got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back, started playing well. It's the end of the season.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Stay healthy. I mean, something you can't control if you're Booth. How do you stay healthy? I don't know. Some players are just injury prone. Hopefully that's not the case with him and he's over this, but
start working on some non-static stretching and become a little more limber.
Do some yoga with Danica Patrick.
There we go. Look at that.
All right. Zach Booth going back to Leicester. They'll probably loan him out again.
I think so.
I don't think that he's ready. If you go back to Leicester, they just got promoted back to the EPL.
Yep.
There's no way Zach Booth is getting anything but like a smidge minute here during a cup game for Leicester next season because they're going to be fighting for survival and they don't need some young kid to play on their team. I just don't see it.
If you're Leicester in that sense, though, and you're going to loan him back out again, which I think they will. Are you going to loan him back to say like Holland, where he'll get a lot of playing time and probably do well, or are you going to say you need to prove yourself and see if you can get a loan like in the in Championship?
Yeah, I think
this is the competition you're going to be facing week in, week out.
Yeah, I think either are possible and probable. He's just not going to be playing for Leicester City next season.
No.
So Fontana's going back to MLS. That's a guarantee. I will guarantee it. If he's lucky,
contract apparently, yeah.
If he's lucky, I mean, he might go back to US. He might play USL next season because, I mean, he barely played. That's well. I give him props for trying, for going over there and giving it a swing, but it didn't work. Mark McKenzie's going to stay at Genk, although there was talk about championship teams.
Yeah. I feel like if you got to make the move, you got to make the move at some point soon, man. Hit it while it's hot.
So it's either championship or stay at Genk.
Yeah.
I think is probably what you're looking at with Mark McKenzie.
Do you think there's a potential move within the league?
I mean, Genk was like at the top of the table.
Yeah.
just a season ago, they were the best team. Now they lost a lot of players, and now they're down in 5th or 6th or whatever they're at. It's not up to their general expectations. So, but there was talk of championship teams being interested. So we'll see what happens.
Just reading here, Brian's mentioning that he's got 1 year left on his contract. And if they don't resign him at the point come January, he can start negotiating with the other clubs on the free. So,
yep. So they got to shit or get off the pot. I'll probably re-sign him. Be my guess.
Yeah.
Gank.
Well, unless somebody comes and knocking with a bid.
And it's not like he had a horrible season, but it wasn't great. He made some bad mistakes. Let's just put it that way.
Sorry, Brian DeMarco goes, God damn, I keep hearing my name and it's messing with me.
Griffin Yao at Westerlo. It's a pretty good season. He's not going anywhere.
There's been rumors, but they're just rumors.
I really doubt that they're one of those teams that teeters like right in the mid-table. Like things could go south at any minute. I think you're going to see Reynolds and Yao stay there. They're going to try to keep that team as stable as possible. I don't think there are any big major offers coming to Yao or Reynolds. I think they're both going to stay at Westerlo and try to keep this team up.
Okay. Sir, we just talked about Brian.
Yep. Marlon Fossey's going to stay where he's at. Just got to stay healthy more. He's had injuries, a lot of injuries. Zahir Leslam, same thing, not really going anywhere. I mean, the fact that he made that move straight out of university all the way to St. Truden, earned a starting spot at center forward, which he had an injury as well this season, but he also lost his starting role. Be nice to see him score more goals. That's what I'd like to see. Score more goals. But he'll stay at St. Truden.
Gaga's already back to Chelsea at this point.
Yep.
And there's the talk of him going to what was the team's name in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, but he's going to go out on loan again. He's part of the Chelsea loan army, which is giant. And the price will probably go up on him, even though Eupen was horrible. Could be Strasbourg. It's a good call. Could be a lot of different teams. We don't know, but that's a good call. Could happen. And I think didn't Sells.
That's where Sells came from.
Yeah, he came from Strasbourg, and they were really, really unhappy with their current goalkeeper.
Yep, that was the talking point of that tweet, at least.
Okay, and so that's very possible, but not staying at Chelsea.
That's a good step in the right direction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
From Eupen to mid-table league.
Yep. So Norwich, we talked about this earlier. They have 2 big assets. They've run out of parachute payments from the EPL. They're going to have to probably sell some of their players. And their 2 most expensive selling options that might bring them the most money are Sargent and Sainz. Would not be surprised if both of them were gone.
Yeah. It was Sargent, the big rumor that recently came up, mind you, prior to the last playoff bout between Leeds and Southampton, was that Leeds were interested. But they're not going to be buying Sargent at this point.
Not for the price that Norwich are going to be seeking.
I think his value went up to 12 mil at this point.
Might be higher than that, but I think you're right. Would love to see him go back to Germany.
Yeah.
Go back to Werder. Didn't they survive? Yeah, they survived. Go back to Werder Bremen. And go back
I want him to go to a team that actually provides service and is not playing defense 90% of the match. Go mid-table. You know what? Gladbach needs a striker at this point.
Yes, that's a good call. I don't know if they'll go for Sargent, but because of his time in Germany, he knows that he speaks the language. He knows the culture. If you're a German team, you feel comfortable. You're not bringing some wet behind the ears kid anymore. He's gone. He's played in the Premier League. He's challenged himself at the championship level. Although that ankle injury is a bitch, I think teams will be worried about that. Is that like a permanent thing that we're going to have to deal with? Because it seems like it has been all season for Norwich. But he played through it. When he came back, he just played through it. So, we'll see. We'll see. I really like the going back to the Bundesliga idea.
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree.
Yep.
David Wagner is obviously out at Norwich, so he's definitely going somewhere.
Yeah, I'll probably go coach some 2 Bundesliga team that barely survived relegation last season, or a relegated Bundesliga 1 team that fell down to 2 Bundesliga. I don't think he's getting a Bundesliga job. He might, but those offers were not abound when he came back the last time. He had to go to Switzerland, where even though he won the league, they lost more games and they fired him. And he's been getting fired a lot. So, but 2 Bundesliga teams, they're open to, I'm sure.
I think the Norwich firing was a little harsh, but
no, I agree. That was harsh. I didn't know what they expected, but the real problem was they don't have the money, and he's expensive. At least
that's fair.
He was an expensive coach for them, and now they're going to really have to start trimming around the edges as much as possible. Norwich isn't owned by a gazillionaire, so they don't have that kind of money laying around. Haji Wright, great season. Will stay at Coventry.
Yep.
I think it was a great season, but I don't think anybody's in the Premier League I wouldn't mind going back to Germany either for him, but I think Coventry's want to hold on to him.
I think it's a good situation for him to be in too.
Yeah,
you can't. You've been roaming around. You went to Turkey. You went Germany. You went to Turkey. You're in championship right now, and you're scoring goals abound.
Right.
So you're in a good spot now. You're going to contend, and if anything, you put together a second solid season. People will notice.
Yeah.
So.
I think Coventry will try to hold on to him. Horvath, he'll just stay where he's at.
Sure. Was he sold or was he loaned out?
I believe he was sold. I think he just left Nottingham Forest, period. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah.
I thought it was a loan, but I might be wrong.
No, I thought he was sold.
That's possible.
I thought he got the fuck out of Dodge.
Regardless, he needs to stay in the championship at that point.
Yeah. Let us know I thought he was sold. If I'm wrong, let me know.
By the time I look it up too, somebody's going to have it. All right. Brian DeMarco says he thinks he was sold.
Yeah, I believe it was.
So that's more than enough for me to go off of.
It's like, how many goalkeepers do you need? At that point, they had 5. Yeah. They had 5 at one point in the season. Somebody had to be sold. Daryl DK, just get healthy.
Put together a season,
Yep.
We know he can score in the championship. It's the main reason why he was bought, but he needs to get healthy.
Yep.
And he's the definition of injury prone, because it's not the same injury that's taking him out of contention every single season. So
yeah, if he were a hospital patient with venereal diseases, he'd have herpes,
he'd have them all,
syphilis, the clap, all of them. He'd have them all because, he's got no luck at all. Dwayne Holmes, probably just going to stay at Preston North End. I don't understand. I don't know why he's on this list. Greg's never going to call Dwayne Holmes up ever again.
Well, I don't know if this is necessarily a list of covering just who Greg might call up.
Yeah, it's just a year in review. I get it. But, he's never playing for Greg. It's not even worth covering, actually.
Gooch isn't going anywhere. Cannon's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, Cannon might go somewhere.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, he started at the beginning of the season, then didn't play for like a gazillion games, and then got to play the last game of the season where he was burned by Haji Wright. Yes.
Most of the league was.
Yeah. He could go back to MLS. I would not be surprised whatsoever if he just goes back at this point. Rough season at QPR. Really rough.
Yeah.
A lot of bench riding.
So they finished 18th in the league.
Not a good season either, by the way, when he did play. Not good. Greggy, Shredder even says that. Says it's not a good season.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Somewhere in there. He
Oh,
said that.
that's fine. Yeah. I mean, I think most people would probably look at that season and probably agree that it was not a great season for him.
Tanner Tessman, great season.
Yeah.
They're still in the fight, right? They got one more game.
Yes.
They got one more game to go.
What is that? Serie B.
Yeah, when is that?
Playoff.
I don't want to miss that. Fuck that. I'm not missing that game.
First match is May 30th. It's a Thursday at 2:30. So yeah, this Thursday at 2:30, and then Sunday is the finals.
Okay. It's a couple days from now for the next one. Listen, he's the heart and soul of that team, and if they get promoted, he's staying at Venezia. They will do everything they can to keep him. If they don't get promoted, he's gone. Someone's buying him up. So,
Try to see if did the ESPN broadcast not be ESPN, did Paramount broadcast the other playoff matches?
No, ESPN Plus, I believe, had the Serie B. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so vice versa. And on that, did ESPN broadcast them?
It might have been Paramount. You might have been right. I don't know. I'm losing track of who covers the lower leagues.
Sure, that's fair.
Okay, yeah, I trust Fumar. He would know. I don't. I just flick around and find them. Or I got a list of all the games I want to watch, and it does tell me what channel they're on, but I don't remember that because it's like robotic. Oh, I go here. Oh, go. At what time? Oh, there. Blah, 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 blah. Just hitting buttons. All right. Busio, on the other hand, if they go down, he's staying probably at Venezia. He is not probably going up to the
if they go, imagine if they go up to Syria, he's probably going to stay with them anyways. Probably limited on playing time at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he's been such a roller coaster this season. He's had like great moments, and then other games where, well, for a stretch, he wasn't even a starter. And then by the end of the season, he won that starting role back. He scored some important goals for them, some goals we couldn't see because of the smoke and the fog. Yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible season for Busio at all. He'll make the Olympic team, I would gather. But he's not been the heart and soul of the team. Like Tessman has shown something that all the rumors mill going on in Serie A are. There are a lot of teams interested in Serie A in Tessman.
Yeah,
I haven't heard a lick of rumor about Busio and teams being interested in getting Busio. So I think he'll just be at Venezia either way. So, and Lund.
We've already talked about Lund.
Lund's not moving.
Nope.
Not going anywhere. Gioacchini, he might want to find another team.
Yeah.
Because Como got promoted. And even when Como were in Serie B and now they're headed to Serie A, he barely played for the Serie B version of this team.
St. Louis might want him back.
He might want to start sniffing around, get his agent start sniffing around, because I don't know how much because Como are going to go out and buy a few players that they think are better than the players they have now. And some of them will be offensive players. And that means Gioacchini is going to go from the third string down to the fourth string, right?
Yeah.
So not good. Novakovic, yeah, horrible season for Lecco. Not him personally. He did all he could on the worst team in Serie B.
6 goals in almost 3,000 minutes. Not bad.
And then it says, but he could be looking at another loan at Venezia. In Serie A?
Yeah.
No way.
Not going to get promoted, no chance.
There's no way he's going to Serie A next season. Although, I mean, if they're back in Serie B, I could see it because he wants, he played there already and they know him. Maybe. No guarantee, though. Hertzler is going to stay at St. Pauli.
Yeah, we talked about it already, yeah.
Johan Gomez is going to stay at Eintracht Braunschweig. That's not a big deal. Julian Green going to stay at Greuther Fürth.
A lot of talk about those.
And hopefully stay healthy. Dietz. Now, Dietz might be a guy that There have been lots of rumors about other Bundesliga teams higher up, one Bundesliga teams thinking this guy might be a future star in the Bundesliga. I could see many offers coming his way in the next window.
Yeah.
So he could, yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that he got injured
at the very end of the season.
Very end of the season, right? You know, the Olympics on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe, go.
So that Olympic roster is going to be announced on Wednesday.
Yep.
So, and we should save that last article, by the way, that ESPN article for next show too. So we have a lot to talk about with Jared Dubois. And besides, we're 3 hours and 10 minutes into this. So
he is going to be here on Thursday's show, right?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are a fan of the Best Soccer Show, or you're just a fan of Jared Dubois, he will be with us, and that'll be fun on Thursday. That's the plan. It's either that or Monday. Either way, we got to talk about it on Thursday as well. Jonathan Gomez, my voice is starting to go out here after 3 hours. Jonathan Gomez, we shall see. I imagine he'll maybe go back on loan again. I don't know what Real Sociedad's plans are for him.
Yeah.
Hard to say, what they think, but I don't know. We'll see. Then we got Conrad, who didn't even dress for Ibar this weekend.
Well, he's been loaned out, so why would you at this point?
Yeah. So I guess he goes back and tries to find another club. I don't know. Vickers, get the fucking hell out of Scotland, for God's sake.
All we got to say about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've said it here so many times, I'm turning blue in the face.
Do we want to cover all these other? Oh, there are a couple of them, yes.
We'll just cover, like, Polvara. These are going to be real quickies. He'll stay where he's at. Pittman, really? Yeah.
I mean, the only one really to talk about in the Scottish Premier League is going to be CCV, unless you want to talk about the 15-year-old at Rangers.
No, done with that. At least I followed Polvara for most of the season, and then Puxis. We'll see where he ends up, but he's probably not staying at Hajduk Split. But we'll see. Lots of reports of teams that are interested. I used to watch the Best Soccer Show before I discovered the straight red card. No offense to Jared, but based on their YouTube numbers, that doesn't surprise me. And there's got to be some way they can get their YouTube numbers up. They are just not the numbers I expect from a show that's been around forever. Like, you would think the Best Soccer Show would just show up at YouTube and just be like, bam, off the charts, because they are OGs. Jason and Davis especially. He's been around since we were at Big Soccer. It's crazy. So anyhow, maybe he's too nice. Got to be a little bit of a
yeah, but they also may just not put enough effort into promoting their YouTube if they post it elsewhere too.
I don't know.
Like if they do, I know that obviously we know Jason does Sirius XM, but I wonder if they post their stuff as a podcast instead of necessarily really push the YouTube aspect.
Maybe so. Maybe they do fantastic on their podcast. So, but I mean, I'm still shocked by the YouTube numbers, because I'm like one of the few people that watches, apparently. All right, what else we got?
Puxis needs to leave Croatia.
Yes, and we already said he will. He's going somewhere.
Yeah. Bella's not going to go anywhere.
He's staying at Lask. Soto
probably will go somewhere else. Actually,
he should beg Klagenfurt to keep him.
But if history repeats itself, he'll find another team and sit the bench there too.
He's just been so injured. So many injuries
this season. Sure.
Season before that too. It's been 2 seasons in a row. So he started the last game of the season for him. It's a sign maybe for Soto. I don't know. He hasn't scored a goal since I lived in Bloomington practically, I believe. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not covering Trejo.
Yeah, and Alex Mendez. Caleb Stanko.
Henry Wingo. No one cares. All right. I mean, unless you're just like this weird, obscure Caleb Stanko fan. You know, he does play in Greece. He did have a decent season. He wasn't a regular starter for his team. And they were in the top half of the table, I believe. But, yeah, he's got no shot at the U.S. men's national team, and that's why we're covering this, right?
Yeah.
He's got no shot.
Fact checking from earlier today, Josh Sargent is not at 12 million anymore. He's at 14 million now.
I thought it went up.
Yeah.
I looked at it earlier today, and I thought, oh, he went up again. Yeah, Sargent at 14 million that's like if you're even a bottom level Premier League team, that's affordable easily. If you're a Bundesliga team, that's and not like one of the top 4 teams, that's still an investment, but it's an affordable investment for a position that is vital, especially as you mentioned, Gladbach couldn't fucking score goals this season.
Yeah.
You know, and here's a kid that's already played in Germany and knows the culture, as I said before, and speaks the language, even though that's not really important in Germany because almost all Germans speak some level of English. They just do.
I'm kind of surprised Haji Wright's didn't increase. He's sitting at 7 million. It stayed the same.
Probably will. You know how they're kind of a lag there for transfer market. They go through, Manuel goes through and the team goes through like big swaths of players that they reevaluate, and it takes them a while to get through the whole group, right? So you'll get an update on certain players, and then the players further back in the pack take some more time to get to. So they're probably worked their way down to like the $8 million players yet. They just haven't got the Haji Wright. But they'll do a full update that'll be done by the end of the summer, obviously. So there's that. All right. Jesus Christ, Brett. 3 hours and 16 minutes.
We got to cut it off now, Derek, because you can barely speak.
My voice is gone. It's gone. And we do love you. Thank you for everybody that showed up tonight on Twitter and YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma. Those things are important. Grandma loves this show. Your grandma loves this show. The grandmas that are still alive. That's because Brett is so hot, right? And also, stepsisters love this show. So share it with your stepsister. That's really important.
Reason, right?
Yes. We'll be back on Thursday. Oh, my God. We'll be back on Thursday with Jared, hopefully. And until then, we love you. Double kisses. Good night.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...